Yo, what up, YouTube? Meow meow meow. Oh, it's too high pitched. Hold on. Meow meow. Yo, that was 1 octave higher. Anyway, let me put the live chat on real quick. Man. So it's pretty alarming to me. I mean, how much the CPU usage spikes up every time I open the live chat. Also the Ethernet usage. Anyway, so far today I've only eaten 3 hash browns. You know, the ones that, I mean the ones in the grocery. I think there's the one Park Lane. I think that's the brand. And I'm not I'm not promoting them. I'm just letting you know what I got from the grocery last time. Three of those. So later I'm gonna Buenos tardes. It's almost midnight here in the Philippines. Later I'm gonna listen how to make quesadilla, because my attempts have been pathetic.
Today I'm going to show you all how to cook up some delicious, crispy, cheesy quesadillas. And I'm not just going to show you one recipe, I'm going to show you 3 different delicious recipes. Now quesadillas have got to be one of the most popular recipes in Mexican cuisine, and I love it because essentially at their core, it's just 2 simple ingredients, tortillas and cheese. It's also one of Mama Texas' favorite snacks in the middle of the night. But there are so many different ways to make these: corn or flour tortilla, yellow cheese, white cheese.
Oh my god, I think that's ham.
Why not both? And what about the fillings? Chicken, beef, veggies. And the condiments? Guacamole, salsa, sour cream. This is truly another one of those ain't no right way, ain't no wrong way recipes that's truly open to interpretation. But wait, there's more to this video. Y'all ever heard of sincronizadas? I like to call this the quesadilla's cousin. And in most places, it's more like a flour tortilla based sandwich with queso Oaxaca, lettuce, tomato, and most importantly, jamon. Now the ham is what really makes this recipe its own, and I'll not only share that original traditional version with you, I'm going to show you all how this one is served specifically in the RGB and how it has a life of its own along the border. Now let's get fired up and cook some quesadillas and some sincronizada. Vámonos! I just want to take a moment to talk a bit.
It's a lot of cheese. Next time I'm really gonna put a lot of cheese in it. I think that's what's missing every time I make it. So what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do today? Yeah, I just can't get the right amount time I make it. It's because I'm freaking stingy. I put so little cheese when I make mine. Man, that's very nice.
Sponsor for this video, amazing food. Y'all can check. I'm gonna flip them over. You want to add a little bit of color to your tortilla here. Give it a little bit of a roasty toasty. Anytime you get a corn tortilla on a griddle, you get that really good aroma of the corn getting a little toasty. It's super aromatic and delicious smelling. All right, friends, I think these are really close to being ready, so I'm gonna take a couple of these out. Now this is the quesadillas in their truest form, pretty much just a corn tortilla with some cheese.
I'd like some meat in it.
Use Monterey Jack, use your favorite cheese. My mom likes the Longhorn cheddar cheese, so Mama Tex likes the Longhorn. Mama Tex likes the Longhorn cheddar style cheese. Mama likes cheddar Longhorn style cheese.
Hi, how are ya?
One of those gotta work. So there you have it, friend. Beautiful cheese pull. To this, you can lay on some guacamole. You can lay on some salsa.
I think I still have a lot of mozzarella. You know, later I'm planning to split the Hungarian sausages into half, and then maybe, you know, cook it a little first and then put some mozzarella in the middle. I'm a genius. Just kidding.
Verde, you can eat it just like this. Oh, baby. That's delicious just like that. Honey, you want a bite? Okay, more for me.
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. How about you?
Check that out, friends. Delicious, cheesy pull right there. And I'm just curious if...
Man, did you see how the cheese was all stretching? I love that.
Beautiful cheese pull. To this, you can lay on some guacamole. You can lay on some salsa verde. You can eat it just like this. Oh, baby. That's big.
That's why I love mozzarella cheese.
Delicious just like that. Honey, you want a bite? Okay, more for me. Check that out, friends. Delicious cheesy pull right there. And I'm just curious if the cheese pull is there for the Longhorn style cheddar cheese. Not quite the same cheese pull, but it is delicious. Use whatever cheese you like. Use them both if you like. Let's move on to quesadilla number 2. You can use any protein you want. You can use veggies. You can use just veggies or just protein. I'm going to use chicken today, so I'm going to butterfly this chicken breast right here. Now, those of you guys that have been following me for a while, you know that I really prefer chicken thighs. But for a fast, quick cook, you can't beat chicken breast. Just don't overcook the chicken breast and you won't dry it out. So I'm going to cut the chicken tender off here. You want it a little bit thin, not too thick, so it'll cook fairly quick. I've got my chicken all sliced and diced. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the griddle here. Ooh, I like that sizzle. Sounds good.
You know, when I cook beef or pork, I don't really put oil anymore. I don't have to. But sometimes I like to put vegetable oil in the food. Just so that I have that.
Good to me.
I mean, why not? Just a little.
Also, you want to use whatever your favorite seasoning is. Y'all know what mine are, so we're going to season up this chicken. Kind of give it a little toss here and there. You want to get it all cooked up really quick. All right, my friends, chicken is just about done. Spread it out a little bit. Leave a little room in the middle. So we're going to add the onions in here and let those start to cook down too. We're going to add the bell peppers right here.
Yo, good morning.
And it's okay if you mix it up with a little bit of chicken. The chicken's pretty much done. So we're going to incorporate all of this together here. And of course, there's always got to be a little quality control. Tasting for seasoning, you can use just a hair more. But I like to add my tomatoes last because they cook really quick. And you don't want them to be too soggy. We like a little crunch in our veggies. here at our house. This is all done. It's time to lay down the tortilla for quesadilla number 2. Let's rock and roll, baby. Now this is probably a little bit bigger than your average quesadilla, but we like them big in Texas. Y'all know what I mean. Now in the valley, the most common thing is yellow cheese. So we're gonna use a little bit of this yellow cheese here. Longhorn style cheese that we get here at the local grocery store. Stuff this bad boy right here. Remember, we've got chicken, we've got cheese, we've got some veggies, some red bell pepper, onions, and tomatoes. Only thing missing here is some serrano peppers or something on it. We're gonna fold this over just like so. Now we gotta press it down a little, flatten it out some. Ooh, look at that, beautiful. You really want that heat to be about medium once the tortilla is cooked. All you're trying to do is melt that cheese. I think I need a little bit more cheese, so I'm gonna add a little bit more here.
You know, I put butter on my tortilla.
Quesadilla is about the cheese. The veggies are just all right, my friends. We have our beautiful, delicious chicken and veggie quesadillas.
Man, I wish we had well, I don't even know how much cheese we have right now.
Full of cheese. This is probably one of the most common ones that people make at home. Not just down here where I'm from, but pretty much everywhere. All right, let's cut these up. Give them a taste test. I'm gonna cut these in half one more time. And you guys know me, I like a little bit of salsa, so I'm gonna put a little salsa verde on here. Ooh. Man. Wowie, zowie. Combination, chicken, cheese, the veggies, that salsa verde's got a little bite.
Time is against
like,
us.
Boom, makes everything wake up in your taste buds. That is good, my friend. I'm only gonna get that one piece because I'm saving some room for the big sincronizada. We got 2 more to go. I said 3 in the beginning. We've got a bonus round for y'all. So the first sincronizada is gonna be the original. I'm gonna put this big tortilla on here, try to get it to not stick here. And warm it up a little first. There we go, yeah.
Don't blink.
And just flip it over. You want it to get a little bit hot.
So that's a very big one.
There you go. Woo, that sucker's already hot. The original sincronizada is not folded over like a quesadilla. It is laid flat, the way we're going to show you guys here in just a minute. We're ready to lay down some Oaxaca cheese here. Pretty good amount. It's not a measurement, friends. This is all by eye. If you love cheese a lot, put a lot of cheese. If you love cheese a little, put a little cheese. We're going to lay down some ham here, and I'm going for 2 slices.
Why, what do you
That
have?
thing's puffing out. Beautiful, my friend. Beautiful. Oh, heck, it's a long. All right, cool. Yeah, oh, that's hot. Push it down just a little bit. Let's flip and hope I don't screw it up. Boom. Ta-da. This is
I've already tried that one. The one on top of the other. Stacked. Instead of folded. And I think I prefer folded. Or at least I can do it better folded.
the original sincronizada. It's white melty cheese, usually Oaxaca style.
Man, I'm jealous. I'm really gonna put some mozzarella in my sausages later.
Ham, more cheese, and then another tortilla on top, and they were always made with flour tortillas. Now, you could always vary, depending on what region you're from, depending on what ranchito you grew up on. Don't get mad. Go out and cook your sincronizada and enjoy. We're gonna let that finish melting the cheese. You can see it starting to ooze out of the edges there.
Speed of light.
We're gonna flip one more time. We have a nice toasty flour tortilla. All right, my friends, we are done with our sincronizadas. Look at that, just gorgeous. We've got ham, queso Oaxaca style cheese, all sandwiched together in between 2 giant flour tortillas. Let's cut into this and see what it looks like. You can cut this up just like a pizza. Maybe we should call this a
Mexican pizza.
That cheese is still so hot. It's melting. Look at that drip. Let's give it a big old taste.
Get back!
Oh man, that's super good.
It's incoming!
Yummy.
Miss, yung right mid nito.
Bro. Bro, turn into Bennett.
Kaming iba?
Miss, basta right mid. Doon ako sa...
That is delicious, my friends. Tortillas, cheese, ham, cheese, tortilla. Flippity flip, rotate if you need to.
You know, I don't really like to eat ham that much. I don't know.
And enjoy. Probably don't take more than 5 minutes if you're in your home.
But when I make ham sandwich, especially when I was younger, I always put slices of cheese. You know, we have these blocks of cheese.
Home kitchen. But let's move on to one more. This is a bonus round for y'all.
Nowhere to hide.
Let's show you how we do sincronizadas
Don't blink.
in the Rio Grande Valley
Speed of light.
here in Deep South Texas. Down here in this region, bistec is the name of the game. You don't really see as much asada being offered around here. So when you order a sincronizada at a taqueria, it usually comes stuffed full with bistec and without that trademark ham. Now, while doing some homework for this video, I came across this epic sincronizada challenge. This is at Alicia's Su Cocina restaurant in McAllen and Peñitas. It's 2 feet long. Wow! Shout out to this brave soul here. Y'all know we're built a little different here in Texas, and especially in the Rio Grande Valley. These are big flour tortillas. Very, very common when it comes to making sincronizadas here in the valley. This barely fits the griddle. These things are so big. They're huge. So you don't have to push super hard. You just want to try to get some of that air out of there. I'm going to get this tortilla out of the way so I can cook the other one. And that way we can build our 2 sincronizadas at the same time. All right, first thing that goes on here is a little spread of frijoles between stage 1 and stage 2, I would say. About like that, more or less. I want to make sure we got enough of them on here. Cheese coming right up. Next up, we have the bistec meat here. We're going to spread this all out right there, just like that.
That's like a shawarma.
Make sure we got a nice healthy dose. Now we have some lettuce and a little bit of onions, a little bit of cilantro, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of avocado, my friends. Getting folded over. Ooh, 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 that's hot. Let's put a little pressure on here. Good count. Next up, salad number 2. Oaxaca style cheese. I want a lot of meat on it. Just enough so that I have a little bit of salad to go with my beef today. And we're good to go. And that's a fat. Let's give it a little flip and flip. Ooh, look at that. What a beauty. All right, so we're going to cut this dude up right here just like that. Right down the middle. And so we have 4 big pizza slices, or we can cut it a little bit smaller, just like this. Now is that a big old delicious looking bite? I'm going to get a little bit of green salsa and red salsa. Let's give it a bite. This is super delicious. Look at that. Oh my goodness. You get to taste the cheese, the delicious flour tortilla, the beans, the cheese kicks in. Then you get that little chew from the bistec meat. Then you get a little crunch from the salad and the onions. And cilantro gives a little bit of background flavor there. And
Next time I'm gonna try ham.
the salsa just ties it all together.
Man, I haven't eaten bacon in a long time now. I think that's the last one, right?
That's delicious. Wow. Highly recommend you try it. Drink it in our agency rub. Little fit and half. Yes, get your wine with OG on there. And you get your thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys at the next video. Keep the smoke light. Make it work. Boom!
Nice and spicy. With sword comes shadow.
Ano kayang pagkakapareho na mainit at malamig na pagkain? Nagdudulot ito ng pabalik-balik na pangingilo.
Maaring sinyalis ito ng tooth damage.
Man, I'm just getting jealous because I can't make any right now.
You make it 2 in the morning with a microwave. This is a real chicken quesadilla. We're gonna begin by marinating our chicken. To a bowl, I'm gonna add some Mexican oregano, a bit of coriander, cumin, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, paprika,
Did he say human?
always one of my favorite ingredients.
Human.
A bit of sugar to balance out all the acidity that we're about to add in here. Then a little bit of soy sauce. That's gonna give us a nice kick of umami. Then I'll slice 2 limes and add in all that juice. You can use a juicer if you want. Feels more satisfying to squeeze them by hand anyways. It's no fun to use a juicer all the time. Then we also got an orange. Squeeze that in. Watch for any seeds. Then we'll go in with a little bit of oil and to finish, a pinch of salt. I'm gonna give this a quick whisk. Make sure my whole marinade is well combined. I'm gonna toss on a pair of gloves here. It's an optional step, but it allows you to move faster in the kitchen. And then I'll add in my chicken. These, by the way, if you didn't recognize them already, are chicken thighs. The reason I often prefer chicken thighs over chicken breasts is because these have a lot more fat in them, so they end up being a lot more tender and they're actually harder to overcook. Now, I'm just gonna get in there with my hands, mix this all around to make sure it's fully coated, and once it's fully submerged under my marinade, I'll cover it up with plastic wrap and bring it to the fridge to marinate while we prepare the rest of the components for our quesadillas. While our chicken's marinating,
You know, I never marinate anymore. But I used to, man. I remember making my own barbecue sauce. And you know, trying to recreate Japanese and Korean sauces. And even sweet and sour sauce. But that was before I started looking after my health.
we're going to move into making our flour tortillas. You can certainly get store-bought flour tortillas if you like, but similar to making fresh pasta at home, I think it's a total game changer to make the tortillas yourself. To make these, we're going to start in a bowl with some all-purpose flour, a sprinkle of salt, and some pork lard. If you can't find pork lard or you want to use something different anyways, you can get shortening or you can even use butter. I'm going to give this a quick initial mix with my wooden spoon, just breaking apart some of that pork lard, and I want to see it start to form these little clumps. Once it starts looking somewhat like this, I'll get rid of my spoon and get in there with my hands. The goal now is to press the fat and the flour together. You want to rub it through your fingers. This is really similar to making a pie crust. I used to help my great-grandmother once in a while to make pies. She lived till she was 101, so she was very good at making pies by then, and she taught me this technique of just sort of pushing and rolling through your fingers. And in this case, what this does, rubbing that flour into the fat, is give us a soft and flexible dough. During this process, it's going to start to look and feel a little bit like a light, fluffy sand. And if you're doing it right, when you squeeze some of it together, it'll actually hold its shape perfectly. Once our mixture looks like this, we're going to go ahead and pour in some warm water. This water is not too hot, but it's a nice, warm, comfortable temperature, with the goal now of turning it into sort of a Play-Doh. But first, it's going to start to look a little shaggy.
Oh, he's making it from scratch. I should have paid more attention.
Squeeze that in, watch for any seeds. Then we'll go in with a little bit of oil, and to finish, a pinch of salt. I'm going to give this a quick whisk, make sure my whole marinade is well combined. I'm going to toss on a pair of gloves here. It's an optional step, but it allows you to move faster in the kitchen. And then I'll add in my chicken. These, by the way, if you didn't recognize them already, are chicken thighs. The reason I often prefer chicken thighs over chicken fat in them, while our chicken lard, or you want to use something different anyways, we're going to start in a bowl with some all-purpose flour, a sprinkle of salt, and some pork lard. If you can't find pork lard or you want to use something different anyways, you can get shortening or you can even use butter. I'm going to give this a quick initial mix with my wooden spoon, just breaking apart some of that pork lard.
Now, I might check in the kitchen if we still have like flour.
And I want to see it start to form these little clumps. Once it starts looking...
But you know, it's not really... it's wheat flour. We don't usually have like cornstarch here.
Somewhat like this, I'll get rid of my spoon and get in there with my hands. The goal now is to press the fat and the flour together. You want to rub it through your fingers. This is really similar to making a pie crust. I used to help my great-grandmother once in a while.
And you know, I gotta say I love corn chips more than potato chips. It has that corn flavor. But, you know, I shouldn't be tempted to buy chips. I'm already destroying my kidneys with the coffee and iced tea.
For a while to make pies. She lived till she was 101, so she was very good at making pies by then, and she taught me this technique of just sort of pushing and rolling through your fingers. And in this case, what this does, rubbing that flour into the fat, is give us a soft and flexible dough. During this process, it's going to start to look and feel a little bit like a light, fluffy sand. And if you're doing it right, when you squeeze some of it together, it'll actually hold its shape perfectly. Once our mixture looks like this, we're going to go ahead and pour in some warm water. This water is not too hot, but it's a nice, warm, comfortable temperature, with the goal now of turning it into sort of a Play-Doh. But first, it's going to start to look a little shaggy, like this. And it's also going to start to get pretty heavy. I'm going to push this around the whole bowl now to make sure I pick up every piece, and now I can transfer it onto my work surface. At this final stage, we'll knead it for about 2 to 3 minutes. This last step here is what's going to give our tortillas that really nice, chewy consistency. And once your dough starts to look something like this, where it's not tearing when you're kneading it, you're good to go ahead and cut this up into portions. I've made enough dough here to make 4 flour tortillas, so you can use a scale if you want, but I'm just going to eyeball it and try to cut this into 4 perfect portions. Before we let these rest for a little bit, I'm just going to ball each of them up. What you're seeing here is a simple technique where the dough basically grips the bottom of your work surface and almost forms itself into a ball. And last but not least, I'll toss them all into a plastic bag. You can also wrap them individually with plastic wrap, and we'll let these sit off to the side for 20 to 30 minutes to rest. Our chicken's marinating, our tortillas are resting, so let's make a sauce. Really, you can make whatever kind of sauce you want, but for me, I'm thinking how can we balance everything out? A chicken quesadilla is cheesy and fatty, so I want to cut down on all of that with something that's slightly tangy, maybe a little bit acidic, and perhaps even a little bit spicy. So here, I have chipotle and adobo, and while I'm chopping, if you didn't know what adobo is, it's basically this smoky and tangy, slightly sweet tomato-based sauce that smells and tastes incredible.
You know, in the Philippines, adobo doesn't have tomato. It's just soy sauce and vinegar.
I'm going to chop these up almost into kind of a paste. I'm doing this on a mini cutting board because I don't want to cut this heat into my main cutting board. I can also just toss this whole cutting board in the dishwasher after. Once this has been chopped up into a fine paste, I'm going to add this to my bowl along with some sour cream. You got to have sour cream somewhere when you're having a quesadilla. A little bit of lime juice, a touch of garlic powder, but cover your ears if you don't like cilantro. A nice big pile of cilantro. Obviously, if you're one of those people where this tastes like soap, doesn't mean you can't make this recipe. Just use something else instead. You can grab some dill, some parsley. What matters most is that you find some nice fresh herbs that are going to bring some brightness to your dish. Once my herbs are chopped, I'll add those in, along with a pinch of salt to wake everything up, a tiny bit of honey. You could also use agave here if you prefer. And then I'll mix this all together and we should get this beautifully colored herb-filled sauce. I actually want to thin it out just a little bit, so I'm going to grab the tiniest splash of water and add some of that in until it reaches the consistency that I like. My sauce is done, so I'm going to cover it up and toss this in the fridge while we finish our last steps. To roll out our tortillas, I'm going to grab one at a time, close the bag, just keep letting them stay nice and happy in here. And I'm going to begin by tossing a tiny bit of flour onto my cutting board. We want to use just the slightest amount of flour, probably less than you even think. We're actually going to start by pressing out our dough ball, similar to the way you'd start pressing out pizza dough. And the goal here is to get it into as round of a shape as possible. You may just be watching this video right now because you love watching cooking videos, but to those of you who are actually following along and making this right now, already you're doing an amazing job making your own homemade tortillas, so don't be upset at yourself if they're not perfectly round at the end, because even mine...
Man, you know what, I prefer them not to be perfectly round. Anything really. Patties, pizza, even pizza, I kinda like it when it's not perfectly round.
And probably won't be perfectly round when I'm finished here. This is one of those things where you get it as close as you can, and remember that it's all going to taste the same either way. Once you've shaped it into a nice circle, go ahead and grab your rolling pin. From the bottom...
Oh yeah, it's gonna taste the same, but you know what they say, presentation is everything.
all the way to the top. I'm gonna do a nice smooth roll, then I'll lift and spin, and same thing on the other side. If you're ever worried about things sticking, you can always add a bit more flour under your tortilla, but know that this is really all about the amount of pressure that you're putting down on the rolling pin as you go. We're just repeating this process back and forth. Rolling one way, then rotating, and then rolling another. One cool trick as well to get a continuous roll all the way through is to continue rolling all the way past your hands and let your arms help too. That allows you to get that full range of motion all the way through the entire roll. As we roll, we're gonna continue to be more and more delicate with our tortilla. You've got to be very gentle as you lift it up and spin it, or you will make fingerprints. This takes a lot of focus, but it's actually really fun, especially if you can get it to look like a nice circle by the end. How do all the brain look so crazy? I don't get it. Once we've rolled our tortilla out nice and thin, you'll see here that it's hard to get it perfectly circular once it's thin enough, but that's okay. You'll know that your tortilla is ready when you've rolled it out basically paper thin. And when it's ready, I'll turn up the heat to about medium-high on a nice heavy, wide-bottomed pan. Be careful not to poke through it with your fingers, and remember to work quick. The second you have it laid out like this, bring it right over to your pan, and with no oil or anything, carefully drop it down. Immediately, bubbles like this are going to start to form, and that's okay. That's actually good. But if they start to get too big like this one here, have a knife ready so you can pop them. These can ruin your quesadilla, and we don't want that after all our hard work. Right now, I'm just carefully spinning, watching it, and waiting for it to get nice and golden brown on the bottom, and then I flip. If I was just making these at home to eat by itself, or if I wasn't going to wrap it in something, I may not really care as much about popping those bubbles, but because this needs to be nice and relatively thin to wrap around our chicken quesadilla, we need to be careful about any massive bubbles that could ruin the integrity of what we're creating here. And when it looks like it's done, I'll grab it, a little bit hot, you gotta be careful, and toss it into my bag. I can leave the bag open, but this is gonna keep it nice and soft and steamy and flexible. And while that sits and rests, we can roll out another. Same thing, a little bit of flour, and this time I'm not gonna make you wait. Magic. All this one needs are a few more clean rolls. And what I think it's important to embrace about homemade tortillas is that they're kind of like snowflakes, where every single one is going to look different, and you just have to embrace them. Look at how thin this one is. You can see my entire hand through there. This one is now ready to go too. I like sitting back for a second and watching all the bubbles form. Let's see what happens here just for fun if we don't pop some of the bubbles. I want to see how big they get. This is an example of what's going to happen to your tortilla. It's going to turn into a pita instead. So before we ruin it, pop, pop, pop. It's not too late to still save this one. One very important thing to say as well, if you do have to pop any of those air bubbles, do not put your fingers over the steam after you pop it. You're gonna get really horribly burned, and steam burns are some of the worst burns I've ever experienced in the kitchen. We can add our second tortilla to the same bag, slide that right in, and then the final step before we make the real quesadillas is cooking our chicken. I feel like people don't think enough about the type of cheese that they're going to use in their quesadilla. And before I even touch the cheese, I want to say one thing. Please don't ever, under any circumstance, use pre-shredded cheese to try to make a quesadilla. All of those pre-shredded cheeses that you buy are going to have starches in them that make it so that the cheese doesn't stick.
Oh no, I always use I use mostly pre-shredded, and then I make my slices.
Animal Tech 63.
For me, it's okay.
Surrendering. Let's light it up.
It's not an issue.
Teamwork is dreamwork.
I'll make short work of you.
Enhanced animal Nowhere to hide.
Stick together, but it also makes it so that the cheese is really hard to melt. So the very simple solution to that is to grate the cheese yourself. I've selected two different types of cheeses for my quesadilla. The first is Oaxaca cheese. This is a mild cheese that will give our quesadilla its meltiness and gooiness. And for the other, I've selected cheddar cheese. The main reason is because I love the flavor of cheddar, and it's very customizable. You can get one that's as mild or as sharp as you want. But the most important thing I want you to understand here is that you should have two different cheeses. One should be for melt, and one should be for flavor. And together, they combine to make something really amazing. So let's start with our Oaxaca cheese. It might look like it's in a ball, similar to mozzarella, but really, this cheese is a rope tied in one big knot. So once you move it around and loosen it all up, you can actually untie that rope. What's cool is that it turns into this long piece of string cheese. So you can start to grab and then pull some of those nice strands, and when you put a nice long piece of cheese like this in your quesadilla, that's what's going to give us that meltiness and that stringiness and that cheesiness that we want in terms of both the look and the texture. This cheese is just fun because it's not one of those cheeses that you just throw right up against the grater. And it's okay and totally normal that you're going to get some smaller pieces like this as well, but just do your best to find those nice longer strands that you can peel right off the cheese, because this will give a really fun texture in the quesadilla.
Look in my eyes and tell me you see me. Feel how I feel. Do you feel me?
Oh man, we're gonna get copyright struck here. Freaking hell. Oh man.
Once we've torn all of our Oaxaca cheese into nice strands, I'll toss them in a bowl, and then we can move to our cheddar. Instead of grating this way, I'm actually gonna flip my cheddar up and grate the long way. That's gonna give us nice long strands instead of these shorter ones here. But what I'll do now is I'll tilt my grater. You can even toss down a kitchen towel if you want so that nothing slips. And I'll go slowly and carefully down to make these nice long strands. I'm going nice and slow to make sure that I don't cut my fingers. And what I'm left with are these crazy long strands of cheese. Doing this is not worth cutting your hand. So I would only do this if you feel really comfortable and confident in the kitchen. Even for me, just so I don't hurt myself, I'm gonna save this as a little snack. I'm not gonna try to grate the rest. But just check out some of those strands that we're getting. I'm gonna guess most of you have never seen a strand of cheese this long, but this is literally so long it almost looks like spaghetti. And because I care so much about texture, I'm willing to take that extra step to make my cheese perfect. I'm gonna gather this up into my bowl very carefully so I don't break any of the strands, and we can start cooking. Our chicken has been sitting in this beautiful marinade for quite a while now. I'm doing all of this to show you how you would make what I think is the perfect chicken quesadilla, but if you're really in a time crunch, go buy a rotisserie chicken and then spice it up a little bit with something when you get home. That to me is going to be the second best way to get some fully cooked chicken that you can then make a really great chicken quesadilla with. What we're going to do is come over here, get a nice heavy bottomed pan similar to one like this so that you can get really nice even heat distribution throughout, and then we'll add in our oil. Make sure that whatever oil you're going to use has a nice high smoke point so that it doesn't burn, because we're going to be cooking at very high heat here. Once my oil starts to shimmer, I'm going to add in my chicken. Careful. I'm going to immediately weigh these down with some weight so that they really press against that pan, get nice hard contact and a nice hard crust and sear. And I also want to point out that I'm using more oil than most people would, and that's because I like for the oil to...
I think that's similar to like roast chicken. So at least we don't have that in the Philippines. Yeah, or it's not very popular.
be able to really get...
By not popular, I mean, you know, you couldn't really find it, all around. We do have, roast chicken.
Get up there.
Speaking of which, I haven't eaten at Undox or taken out. No. I prefer their pork. You know, somehow I really like the flavor. But you know, I can stand not eating it. Like forever. No, I like the flavor, but I don't know.
And all the nooks and crannies of the chicken to get it nice and perfectly crispy. Don't be surprised when I turn these over in a minute if they have a nice dark char to them. We actually want to develop a nice dark crust, and that's part of the reason that we have some soy sauce in here. If you've ever put soy sauce in a hot pan, you probably know that it burns very easily, but in this case, for me, it's a nice kind of burnt. It's going to give us that burnt char with soy sauce flavor. After a few minutes here, especially when I'm starting to see some of that really dark black char on the outsides there, I think our chicken should be ready to flip. And I'm gonna flip in the order that we laid them down. See that dark char that I'm talking about? That's perfect. Second piece, we're getting just the right amount of char here. That one's awesome. That might be my favorite one. I get how it may just look like it's burnt and done incorrectly, but this really is gonna be that flavor that we need to round out our quesadillas. It's one of the things in here that gives us that difference between a good and a great quesadilla. While my chicken finishes cooking, I'm gonna get my workstation ready to finish things up. I'm gonna add it off to this bowl now, where it's gonna rest. I'm gonna bring in my griddle that I'm gonna be cooking my quesadillas with. While that chicken rests for just a moment, I'm gonna get ready to layer. What I'm about to do right now is the only time
Getting ready to layer down, horse.
I am ever going to mention the words microwave and quesadilla in the same sentence. I'm gonna wrap it in this damp paper towel and toss it in the microwave for just a few seconds to get it nice and soft so that we can bend it over itself without it cracking. Here it is, my nice steamy tortilla. See how it's turned a bit different in color? Now it's all floppy and loose, much easier to work with. It's not gonna crack on me. While that remains nice and hot, I'm gonna grab my chicken. Probably just need about this much to fill in this side. I'm gonna chop it into nice long strips like this, mixing it all up with the size of the pieces and the texture. And then the way that we layer is by first putting down some of our cheddar. Remember, it's only gonna be on 1/2 of the tortilla. Then a little bit of the Oaxaca cheese. Then down I go with some of my delicious fresh cooked chicken that's still nice and piping hot. So even now, it's gonna sort of start to melt into that cheese and cook it even a little bit. Sometimes it's nice to give it a little.
Okay, right now I'm gonna make some iced tea, and then I'm gonna check what kind of cheese we have. If this loads. Oh, frick. Okay, I'm gonna check.
This is easy. We kill them, and then we go home. Go, go, go!
Okay, just check, and yes, we do have. Well, I have very little mozzarella cheese left. Not enough. We also have flour and cornstarch. And we have a lot of ground meat, so I don't really have any excuse now. Well, we don't have much flour and cheese, no. Meow, meow, meow. Why did you kill me?
Activating the bomb. Bomb has been planted.
A little press as well. And then I'm gonna go in reverse. I'm gonna add some Oaxaca cheese. I'm making a cheese sandwich inside this quesadilla that's gonna essentially act as a glue to hold everything together. And now finally, to finish it off, a little bit more of that cheddar cheese. Some people add all kinds of things. They add peppers, they add onions, they add whatever. I like to keep the quesadilla itself very simple. You don't really need it or want it to be overflowing with all kinds of stuff, and that's it. We fold it up, give it a nice press. I don't have the filling coming all the way to the edges yet because that's going to happen while it cooks. And then, in one swift motion, on we go. You may be a little confused here. Why is there no oil? I'm sure you and I have both had one or more of those quesadillas that are wet and soggy and disgusting and hard to even hold up. And that's not right. So with this recipe, there's no need for that oil or that butter or anything there that's gonna soak up into that tortilla. All that fat is already inside the cheese in our quesadilla anyway, so we don't really need any more. Instead, I'm just gonna weigh it down with a few of these presses for now and carefully monitor the heat as it cooks. That is one tricky part I will admit about making quesadillas, and that's that they can burn like that. Every so often, I'm gonna remove these weights. Right now, I'm just weighing it down to press everything together and make sure we're getting even contact across the whole tortilla on the pan. And I'll move it around a little bit to make sure that the tortilla is touching different parts of the pan at all different times, since this pan, or any pan, is gonna be hotter and colder in different spots. We're getting a beautiful cheese crust here. It almost becomes an extension of the tortilla, which is pretty cool. I'm standing really close in an awkward position so you guys can get good audio of the cheese bubbling. Don't say I never did anything before. We're ready to flip, so we'll go carefully here. Right over the top. So what we've done here is dried this side of the tortilla out for a while, where if I knock it, it's this really hard and crusty surface. And this is gonna give us this amazing crunch when we go to bite into this quesadilla. I'm gonna flip this guy around. One of my favorite parts in the whole thing, if you do this right, is the crispy edges of cheese that you get there that fall onto the pan and become this crunchy, crispy bonus, basically. Look at this crispy piece of cheese that we got. This is the treat that I'm gonna give myself. That looks pretty bomb, doesn't it? Another cool thing here is even though we didn't use any oil, see how much oil ends up on the pan? That's all from the cheese. So it ends up kind of making its own oil to cook itself in. And with that, we're done. I like my quesadillas in nice big pieces. So I'm gonna go into 3 big chunks like that. Sometimes it's a bit of a game for me to see how long and beautiful of a cheese pull I can get. See what I meant by getting those nice long cheese strands? Put this all together with your beautiful sauce and perhaps some guacamole or whatever else you like, and you have the perfect quesadilla. Nobody touch my quesadilla. That means you too, Daryl.
I'll shut it down. I'll shut it down. I'll shut it down. Yeah. I'll shut it down. I'll shut it.
Man. You know, that's the good thing about making your own food. I mean, you get to, you have more freedom of what you want to do with it. Like how much you're gonna prepare. How much you're gonna cook it.
I'm throwing a grenade. Oh, I'm throwing a flashbang. Smoke. Molotov.
Plan for long, bro.
Bomb has been planted. Molotov.
Now let's do scary
Sometimes the
stories.
truth is stranger than fiction. And today I'm going to share 3 stories that demonstrate that, and I'm going to tell them in reverse order. So to go 3, 2, 1, getting weirder and more bizarre as we go along. And also these stories are of the more spooky variety too. So stranger than fiction and kind of spooky. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button is counting something really important and they're taking their time counting through it, wait till they get close to the end, and then begin wildly shouting out random numbers just to screw them up. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
Meow, meow, meow.
At around 5 p.m. on August 29, 1954, a 53-year-old woman named Juliet Exline had just sat down on her couch with a book inside of her home in Los Angeles when she got this weird wave of anxiety that kind of rushed over her. Now, there was nothing she could think of that would cause her to feel this way, and she even looked around her house thinking, maybe there was something weird going on, but there was nothing. And so finally, Juliet, she put her book down and just took a few calming breaths to kind of go back to normal. Like, she didn't know what was going on, but she could tell she was super anxious. Now, generally speaking, Juliet was a very mellow person. She was not prone to anxiety attacks like this, and so that kind of caught her off guard. And the only thing she could think of that was different than normal was her husband, Larry, was on a much-needed vacation, and so the last couple of days while he'd been gone had been maybe more lonely in the house, and so maybe that was causing her to feel this weird stress. She didn't know, but she told herself, Larry's vacation was definitely a good thing. Larry was an exterminator, and over the past 2 years, he had not taken a single day off. He was a total workaholic, and so when Larry began to talk about wanting to take a break, Juliet had encouraged him to put in time for some vacation time, put in a request. And Frank had actually done that, and as soon as his boss approved the 2-week long vacation, Larry had been so pumped, he had called his friend, and they had immediately scheduled a fishing trip, and 4 days before, Frank and his friend had driven off to enjoy his time off. And so as Juliet thought about that, she told herself that, even if she was feeling a little bit anxious about Larry being gone, it really was a good thing for Larry, and it would improve not only his life, but her life as well. This was overall a good thing, and so she just needed to kind of deal with this anxiety that maybe or maybe not was connected to Larry. She didn't know. But for the rest of that evening, Juliet could not get rid of this kind of baseline low-level nervousness she was feeling. And so at some point, she began getting up and walking around her house, and confirming all the windows were shut and locked, the doors were locked, drawing curtains, checking in closets, making sure everything was totally safe. And then by 8 p.m., when she still just could not shake this anxiety, she decided she just needed to go to bed and kind of sleep this off. But after falling asleep, Juliet suddenly woke up at 10:15 p.m., drenched in sweat, with the most intense anxiety she had ever felt in her life. And she was totally disoriented. She's looking around her room like, what's going on here? And then she heard a voice. It was Larry's voice, except he sounded funny. He sounded like quiet, as if maybe he was outside the house trying to come in and he was calling to her. And so kind of in a panic, she jumped out of bed, ran into the hallway, and right in the hallway was Larry. He wasn't outside. He was right there. Except something was wrong with Larry. He was kind of hunched over and grabbing his stomach, and he had his hand on the wall, and he also appeared to be soaking wet. And so Juliet had no idea what was going on, but between all that anxiety and now seeing Larry here in this weird state, she couldn't help herself. She just ran towards him to just make sure he was okay. But as soon as she got about a foot away from him, he held out his hand and said, "No, don't touch me. I have to go back." And what he said was so disorienting that Juliet just stopped and stared at her husband like, what is this? And that's when she made the startling realization that Larry was not soaking wet with water. He was soaking wet with blood. And he was clutching his stomach like something was bleeding in his midsection. And the reason he had sounded so quiet when he had called out to her and woken her up was because he was clearly hurt. And so Juliet has no clue what's going on. Like, her husband was supposed to be 7 hours away on this fishing trip, and so how is he here? It didn't make any sense. And so really not knowing what else to do, Juliet just said, I'm gonna call the doctor. And so she ran past Larry, headed to the kitchen, and she was about to grab the phone on the wall, but before she could grab it, the phone began to ring. And so Juliet just answered it and said, hello, hello? And what she heard was the sound of a sheriff in Ely, Nevada. And he said, excuse me, is this Mrs. Exline, Juliet Exline? And she said, yes, what's going on? What's happened? And the sheriff said, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have some terrible news. Your husband got into a car accident, and unfortunately, he has passed away. And now the second the sheriff said this to Juliet, she just froze and goes, no, that's not possible. He's here with me right now. And Juliet turned around and looked into the hallway where Larry had been standing, and now Larry was gone. Larry really had died in that car accident because Juliet would bury her husband that week. But Juliet maintained that clearly after her husband had died, his spirit had somehow survived the accident because when she saw her husband standing in the hallway, hunched over and covered in blood, it was at 10:15 p.m. She remembers because when she woke up, she saw the time. It was 10:15. And her husband had died at exactly 10:15 p.m., the exact moment she saw him in the hallway. Juliet would ultimately write an account of what she experienced with her husband. However, from that day forward, she never once saw her husband again. That was the only time.
They will remember us after today.
Come on, man.
At 12:30 p.m. on March 7th, 2015, a police officer named Tyler Beddoes, along with his partner...
Oh man, and that's just how it ended. Oh, that was very sad. Yun. For me, that's even sadder than creepy, than spooky.
Were driving in his police cruiser near the Spanish Fork River in Utah when suddenly a police dispatcher came on over the radio. And this dispatcher was speaking very urgently and said, "Hey, a fisherman has just called in to say that he spotted what looks like an upturned SUV partially submerged in the Spanish Fork River right underneath the bridge. And whoever is closest to this bridge, get over there and see if there's anybody inside the vehicle that can be saved." And so Officer Beddoes and his partner, they knew they were very near this bridge. And so immediately they banged a U-turn, they drove to the bridge, but from the road they looked down and couldn't see any SUV. But they saw there were some firefighters and paramedics that were also converging at the spot on the road, and everybody's getting out and running down to the riverbank. And so Beddoes and his partner did the same thing. They got out and they ran down. And finally, when they got to the riverbank and they saw underneath this bridge, sure enough, there was this red SUV upturned, partially submerged, and he noticed right away that none of the doors had been opened in this SUV, and so it meant whoever was driving this vehicle when it flipped over very likely was still inside. And so Officer Beddoes and his partner and the other first responders just jumped into this icy cold river and began making their way closer and closer to this upturned SUV, which again, it's not fully submerged, it's like a third of the way underwater. So if you were sitting in the seat inside of this vehicle and you were an adult, your head would basically be in the water if you were still strapped into the seat. And as they're making their way towards this SUV, when they got close enough, they began hearing a woman inside of the vehicle screaming, "Hey, we're in here! Come over here! Help!" But when Officer Beddoes and the rest of the first responders actually reached the SUV, the water was so murky and it basically completely covered up the windows that they weren't really able to look into the vehicle. They could just hear this woman yelling, but that was it. And then when they tried to open up the doors, they couldn't do it because the roof had begun to cave in, and so the actual framing of the door wouldn't open. And so all these first responders, it's like their adrenaline's pumping and they're like, "Come on, we got to push this thing up onto its side so we can get in." And so all these first responders are pushing and pushing, and slowly but surely they began to raise the side of this vehicle up until the windows suddenly were clear, and Officer Beddoes and the others were able to look into the car, and they saw there was a woman in the driver's seat and there was a baby in a car seat dangling upside down in the back seat, still strapped in. And so Beddoes began screaming, there's a baby in here, there's a baby in here. And suddenly it was like everybody got extra strength and they pushed this vehicle all the way up onto its side. And then one of the firefighters climbed up onto the side of the car, which now was the highest point of the car. And he reached in and he clipped the straps holding the baby who had been upside down, dangling there, cut the straps and pulled the baby out and handed the baby over to Officer Beddoes. And then the firefighter began doing the same thing to get the woman out. But Officer Beddoes at this point took this baby, turned away. He figured the first responders will handle this woman and he's going to take this baby to safety because he couldn't even tell if the baby was alive or not. And so he's cradling this baby. He's rushing back through the water, back to the riverbank. And then he hands the baby over to the paramedics. And right as he does, he sees this little baby begin.
Okay, hold on. Let me check something off screen. Man, I really keep on
begins to move its
I
arm.
really keep on worrying about work. Today,
Stay frosty.
you know, of course, I always check the progress. And it seems like there hasn't been any progress
Send the area out.
since last week.
Throwing grenade.
You know, I was asking them if there's an estimated date when I'll be taking the final exam, you know. Their reply today was, you know, await further instructions.
Arms and flicker its eyes. And he wanted to weep out of relief that this child was okay. They put the baby onto a stretcher, they put the baby in the ambulance, and they whisked the baby away to the hospital where this baby would survive. But after the baby had been taken away, Officer Beddoes turned his attention back to the SUV and back to the woman to see how she was doing. But he could tell right away from the way people were acting, all the other first responders that were still dealing with the crisis in the water, the way they were acting indicated that something is off here. Well, it would turn out 14 hours earlier, so at around 10 p.m. the previous night, a 25-year-old woman named Jennifer Grossbeck had just left her father's house in Salem, Utah, and in her car was her little 18-month-old baby, Lily, who was in the back seat. And after Jennifer pulled away from her father's house and her father's on the porch waving to her, she began driving towards her home. But something happened around 10:30 p.m. that night. We don't know what, but something caused Jennifer to careen off the road on that bridge and flip over and land in the water. Maybe she fell asleep at the wheel or an animal jumped out, we don't know. But we know at 10:30, she careens off the bridge and she lands in that river. And then for 14 hours, she and her baby remained upside down in that river. Until finally, Officer Beddoes and the other first responders came rushing over to open it up and get them out of there. And if you recall, all the first responders, Officer Beddoes included, heard Jennifer screaming that they were in the car, come save us, please. But what they would find out is that could not have been Jennifer, because Jennifer was killed on impact when the car fell into the water. Only Lily survived the crash, and then Lily, who's nearly hypothermic and she's upside down with water like 2 inches away from her head, for 14 hours she dangled there, and when she was pulled out, according to doctors, was like a couple of minutes before she would have died from hypothermia. And so without that voice, Lily almost certainly would have died, because it was the sound of that voice that really encouraged all these first responders to find the strength and get that car up on its side and then get the baby out of there. We don't know whose voice that belonged to, but for sure, it saved Lily's life. And again, baby Lily would make a full recovery, and to this day, Officer Beddoes and the other first responders, they know what they heard, and they do not have an explanation for it. Do you like scary stories about cryptids, the paranormal, the supernatural, bizarre true crime? And Hamada City was a totally beautiful and very remote location. Dump the trash in a nearby bin, cast platform you listen on. Okay, back to the stories. At around 9 p.m. on October 26, 2009, a 19-year-old college student named Miyako Hiroka bagged up the last bit of trash inside of the ice cream parlor where she worked and she dumped it into a bag and she tied that bag up. It was closing time, and so Miyako looked around the inside of the parlor, made sure everything was where it was supposed to be, and then she flipped off the lights, threw her purse over her shoulder, she grabbed that bag of trash, she headed outside the parlor, she shut and locked the door, she dumped the trash in a nearby bin, and then began walking towards the exit of the mall, which is where this parlor was located. It was inside of this big mall. Miyako went to school in a city called Hamada City, which is located on the coast of Japan in an area called the Shimane Prefecture. And Hamada City was a totally beautiful and very remote location with these amazing beaches and unbelievable mountains with all these ski resorts on it. I mean, this was an incredible place to live. But as much as Miyako did love living there, she was actually far more excited about where she'd be living the next year because she was doing an exchange program. She'd be studying in Russia, and that was so exciting for her. And in fact, this exchange program was the reason why Miyako had picked up this job at this ice cream parlor, because she came from a family that was not poor by any means, but they didn't have a lot of extra income, and Miyako felt strongly that she really wanted to pay her way to go do this big Russian exchange program because it wasn't cheap. And so she was picking up as many shifts as she could to save up money to pay her way. And so Miyako eventually reached the exit of this mall, and she stepped outside into the night, and then she had a decision she needed to make. And she needed to make this decision every night after work. There were two ways that she could get back to her dorm, which was located about a mile away. The quick way would be to just hop on a bus and have the bus take her to her dorm, but that cost money. And remember, Miyako is trying to save up as much money as she can to pay for Russia next year. And so taking the bus just felt like, not really worth it. And the other option, which was free, was much longer and frankly just plain spooky. And Miyako hated it. What it entailed was basically just walking to her dorm, but it would mean walking for about a third of a mile through this really spooky forest that looked like it was straight out of a horror movie. Now, up until recently, Miyako's co-worker had always left with her at the same time, and they lived roughly in the same area, and so they would walk together through that forest, saving money, and also, providing each other security as they went through the spooky area. But recently, the co-worker had quit, and so now Miyako was all alone. And so as Miyako stood there wondering what she should do, take the bus route or take the forest route, she just thought about, next year, it's all going to be worth it. I'm going to go to Russia. I'm going to pay my way. It's going to be awesome. And after all, what's the worst that can happen? It's just a few minutes walking through a forest I've done dozens of times. Before long, I'll be in my brightly lit, safe dorm room, studying away, and everything will be fine. And so Miyako turned and began walking towards the forest. The following day, a little past 4 p.m., the owner of the ice cream shop where Miyako worked was standing inside the parlor feeling really annoyed, because Miyako had not shown up for her shift, and now the owner, who normally did a lot of administrative and managerial things, was stuck at the counter.
Hold on, I think we've listened to this one before. It's probably part of another one of his compilations. Or I'm just remembering a time when I heard it off stream.
Serving all the customers, basically doing Miyako's job. But when 5 p.m. came and still Miyako had not shown up, and the owner had tried calling her and she didn't pick up, and there was just no sign of her, the owner went from being annoyed to being somewhat worried. And so after again not being able to call Miyako to figure out what was going on, he wound up going through her file and finding her mother's phone number, and he called her. And when he spoke to Miyako's mother, he knew right away there was something wrong. Because Miyako's mother actually was pretty panicked, and she said, you know what? Last night when Miyako was coming home from work, she told me she would call me when she got to her dorm, but I never heard from her, and I haven't been able to get in touch with her since. And so after this conversation ended, Miyako's mother would call the police and report her daughter missing. And pretty much instantly, the police in Hamada City responded in force. I mean, they launched a huge investigation to go figure out what happened to Miyako. And really the reason behind that is because Hamada City is this unbelievable place, this secluded, safe place where things like this did not happen. And frankly, it scared everybody, and they wanted to deal with it as quickly as possible. And so what police did at first is they went and looked at security footage from the ice cream parlor where they knew she had been working on the night she went missing. And sure enough, at about 9:16 p.m., there's footage of her walking out of the ice cream parlor in the mall. She's got a purse over her shoulder, and she shuts and locks the door, she throws the trash away, and then she heads towards the exit. But after that, nobody saw her. There was no more footage, there was no more tips or anything. She just vanished once she left the mall. And so very quickly, this story gained lots of attention because again, Hamada City is like this quintessential vacation spot. It's so perfect, it's so safe. And to have this girl just go missing, it was scandalous. And so it made the news all over Hamada City, and also people who lived in Hamada City were suddenly on edge at night. What's out there snatching people up? In fact, Miyako's college, during the few days following her disappearance, they set a curfew for all their students. Like, all their students had to be back in their dorms at a certain time to keep them safe. But again, despite the police really leaning into this case from the jump and putting all their manpower and all their resources into this, they really had no idea what happened to Miyako. Then, on November 6th, 2009, so 11 days after Miyako went missing, a man who was hunting for mushrooms up on this mountainside about 15 miles away from the ice cream parlor believed he spotted this beautiful mushroom sitting underneath a few fallen leaves. And so excited, the guy runs over and he begins moving away the leaves to grab this big meaty mushroom. But as soon as he grabbed the skin of this mushroom and began to pull, he stopped. And then he quickly turned and began sprinting back down the path that had brought him up here. And as he was running, he pulled his phone out and he saw he had no service, and he just kept on running and holding the phone up looking for service. And then finally, when he was about halfway down the mountain, he saw he had service in his phone and he called the police. And the second the dispatcher answered, this man began screaming, "I found a human head!" When police arrived on that mountainside where this man claimed to have found a human head, well, they confirmed he was right. They found Miyako's severed head right underneath those leaves. And the reason this guy thought her head was a mushroom, a dark-colored mushroom, because it was obvious that Miyako's face had been so badly beaten and it was all black and blue before she lost her head. And so this mushroom hunter had literally thought that was a big, big mushroom. And so at this point, the Hamada City Police shifted their area of search from around the mall and the ice cream parlor where they thought they would find Miyako to this forested mountain area where her head was found. And now, of course, it was no longer a search and rescue, it was a recovery mission. They're just looking for the rest of Miyako's body. And over the next couple of days, as police searched this forested mountainside, they would find different parts of Miyako all over the place. And then after they had found, all the pieces to Miyako, the running theory, based on what they were seeing, is that very likely she had been strangled to death, and then her body was burned, and then she was dismembered and scattered throughout this forested mountain area. But there was very little evidence about who had actually done this to Miyako. Miyako had no enemies to speak of. Everybody who spoke about Miyako said she was incredibly lovely and kind, and really there wasn't anybody in her life that would want to do her harm. And also because Miyako's body had been destroyed and left out for so long, any trace evidence left behind by her killer or killers was basically non-existent. And so the police really had no leads to speak of. They had no suspects or anything. And so they called in psychologists to try to make, a profile of who they thought might have done this. And the best theory anyone could come up with was that this had been a random crime of opportunity, that the person who killed her didn't know her, and that likely her killer was a man who was likely between the ages of 20 and 40. But even that information really didn't narrow anything down, and so quickly this case began to go cold. But as the police investigation itself began to go cold, the kind of lore around this story was only growing. I mean, this really seemed like a totally unbelievable case, considering where it happened. I mean, Hamada City is like this perfect place. How could this happen here? And so what started as being kind of a local news story, albeit a big local news story, became a major national story all over Japan. And so all these TV outlets and journalists were descending on Hamada City, and they were taking video of the ice cream parlor and of the police department and filming, Miyako's dorm and her school and her parents' house. I mean, there were people all over the place trying to get any bit of information to report on about this case. And despite there being dozens and dozens of these live reports basically every day coming out of Hamada City about this case and about Miyako, there was one particular news report that took this case from being, totally unfortunate and sad and tragic and horrible to completely unbelievable and bizarre. Shortly after Miyako's remains had basically all been found, but they were still doing some recovery operations up on that mountainside, one of these kind of random TV reporters who was in Hamada City to report on this crazy case decided to set up their TV camera so it was pointing towards the dark entrance of that spooky forest that Miyako would walk through to get back to her dorm. And so this TV news reporter's got their microphone and, they're standing with the forest entrance right behind them, and the cameraman's filming, looking towards this opening of the forest. And the actual report was pretty generic. I mean, this reporter was basically saying, well, coming at you live from Hamada City, just outside of the forest where perhaps Miyako was killed. And it was just like that. It was just kind of talking about the case, and there was nothing to it. At least not to the TV reporter and the cameraman who were on site. Because for them, the entire report was pretty routine. They did their job, they got their shot, they got their report, and then they left. But they streamed it live. So while they were doing it, all these people are tuned in watching this news report live in front of this forest. And something really unsettling happened on this broadcast. While that news reporter was talking, another voice began to be heard by people watching this broadcast. And it was not the cameraman, and it was certainly not the TV journalist. It was a woman's voice. And there was no woman anywhere near the shot. And after the fact, the journalist and the cameraman would also attest that there was nobody around, it was just them. But this detached, very pained voice said very clearly, and all these people heard it live, "This is very painful. Why only me?"
広島県北広島町の我流山の林道の入り口です。今日の捜索は午後5時で終了し、私の後ろに張られていた規制線も現在は解かれています。
And so after this news report happened, this story, this case about Miyako, went from being just a Japanese story to being like an international sensation, because everybody believed when they saw this video that that voice that was heard was Miyako's ghost, basically talking on camera. That's why you can't see her. It's her spirit communicating with the living world. However, despite that drawing even more attention to this case, it didn't remotely help the police actually solve the case. They still had no idea who did this. And that's how this case would stay for years, just totally stalled. That is, until 7 years later, when a police officer was conducting a routine police review of old criminal case files that hadn't been solved, going through them all to see if maybe evidence had been missed, and maybe that was why the case had not been solved. And so this police officer is looking through all these case files, and when they landed on the Miyako case, they did discover a piece of evidence that had been totally overlooked. It was the file of a convicted sex offender named Yoshiharu Yano. Yoshiharu was a 33-year-old man who had served time in prison for assaults on 3 different women in Tokyo, which is 500 miles away from Yamada City, where Miyako was killed. And because of that 500-mile gap between Tokyo and Hamada City, Yoshiharu had been completely overlooked in terms of being a suspect in Miyako's murder. It just seemed like he was too far away to be involved. But the police officer who was doing that routine review, they discovered that right before Miyako was murdered, this Yoshiharu guy had been let out of prison and decided to live in Hamada City. And on the night Miyako was killed, when she decided to walk into that forest, well, they found security footage of Yoshiharu's car driving along around that forest and up near that mountain where Miyako's remains were all discovered. And so this investigator who discovered this piece of information got permission from higher-ups to search Yoshiharu's home where he was living right then. And when they searched his home, they discovered a digital camera with 40 photos on it that would explain what happened to Miyako. It was very clear Yoshiharu had murdered Miyako, because some of the pictures contain photos of Miyako, and they are just horrible. But figuring out who Miyako's killer was not the end of this case. In fact, it wasn't even the most shocking part of this case. The most shocking part of this case is what happened to Miyako's killer, Yoshiharu, basically right after she was murdered, and that voice, that detached female voice, was heard on that TV news report. 7 years earlier, right around the time that Miyako's head had been found, and also after that voice had been heard on the TV newscast, some people who were driving in a car north of Hamada City began calling the police to report something very strange. They called the police and said, there is this small white Toyota Corolla car that has 2 people inside of it, and they've driven to the side of the road, and the driver is ramming over and over again against the railing. Like they're smashing into the railing, backing up, smashing over and over again, like the car is somehow in control. They don't understand how these people are not getting out of the car. Like, what are they doing? Traffic had stopped on either side. It was just totally nonsensical. And then by the time the police showed up, this car that was just repeatedly driving into the side of this guardrail, it burst into flames with the two people inside still clearly alive and looking terrified, and they caught on fire and died. Now, at the time, this did make the news. It looked very much like some sort of weird murder-suicide. It was just totally had intentionally, driven the car until it burst into flames and killed themselves and also their passenger. But it didn't really amount to more than just a really weird news story because there was no connection to the Miyako case. This is like a totally isolated thing. However, 7 years later, when that police officer discovered the link that Yoshiharu was in Hamada City, and then they figured out, yep, Yoshiharu was the killer, well, suddenly, that totally weird murder-suicide took on a whole new meaning. Because the driver of that car was Yoshiharu, and the passenger was his mother. And again, from eyewitness testimony, it didn't really make sense the way this all happened. It was almost like the car was possessed or something, that, the passengers couldn't control it. Now, who knows if that's true, but when you combine it with the sound of that female voice on the TV news camera that everybody assumed was Miyako's ghost saying, "This is so painful, why only me?" suddenly those words took on a new meaning. People thought, you know what it is? Miyako's ghost must have taken control of that car and made sure not only Yoshiharu suffered and died, but his family member died as well.
Damn, that's sad. I mean, the mother may not have anything to do with it.
Was seeking her revenge on her killer. As promised, here is a clip from the newest episode of the Bedtime Stories podcast. Enjoy.
Despite the invention of satellite communications and GPS tracking, ships and planes continue to vanish from across the globe, leaving no trace of their passing. Simultaneously, the remains of mysterious boats wash up on remote shorelines, their identities long since removed by the effects of weathering and decay. It has been theorized that there are places on this earth where time operates in a somewhat different manner, where some invisible portal or corridor is capable of...
Whoa! Stir-fried! New stir-fried Lucky Me Jumbo! Try mo na!
In the early hours of September 19th, 2023, two masked figures creep into a quiet house. Systematically, they ransack it for valuables, taking jewelry and firearms. This might seem like an ordinary, random burglary, but one of these men has a secret. He knows something about a death at the property nearly a year earlier. 52-year-old Harold Allen passed away peacefully in December 2022. So everyone thought, but this burglary's about to blow everything the investigators think they know wide open.
Everyone knows everybody here. It's not like we're in a big city or anything, where these kind of things happen.
This woman is a murderer. I know that. I have not gone to nobody and said anything because I don't have no proof on it. This woman's a psychopath.
Here on The Decoder, we've got exclusive footage and an interview with one of the lead detectives on the case.
If not for the burglary, we wouldn't have even known about the murder.
Welcome to the chilling story of the death of Harold Allen. Harold Allen, nicknamed Peanut, died on December 20th, 2022, unexpectedly young. He had a heart problem and insulin-dependent diabetes, but he was managing both conditions. Or so his wife, 52-year-old Marcia Allen, thought.
911.
Yeah, this is 3287 North State Road 135. My husband's in our bedroom floor. He's non-responsive.
Is he breathing?
No, he's not.
Okay, hold on. Did you find him like that?
Yeah, I work from home and I went back there to check on him because he's been sick. And then I went back there, he was just laying on the floor like he was trying to get up and go to the bathroom or something. And he's not breathing.
Okay. Do you want to start CPR if I help you?
Yeah, I could do that.
But even with CPR, Marcia couldn't revive him. Harold was dead. He also left behind a stepdaughter, 30-year-old Ashley Jones, and 2 step-granddaughters who were reeling from this unexpected loss right before Christmas. And they had a police investigation to contend with, which initially seemed routine.
I'm Lieutenant Adam Nicholson, and I was the lead investigator.
Oh, that's a nice guitar right there. Guitar, or I don't know if it's called something else.
On the Ashley Jones case.
Harold worked as a laborer for a car parts manufacturer.
Everybody that Harold worked with, his family, friends, all those people, they said he was a very loving husband, he was a good friend, he was a good co-worker. He was the kind of person that everyone seemed to like. At the time of his death in December of 2022, the understanding was from the autopsy report is that he passed away due to heart complications. There was no indication that Harold's death was suspicious in any way.
The autopsy was signed on January 18, 2023. It listed his cause of death as calcifying constrictive pericarditis, an underlying heart condition. His system was found to contain opioid painkillers, but only at a low level, as they were prescribed to him for chronic pain. He also had a few recent emergency room visits on his record, but these weren't linked to his heart condition. The autopsy was the end of it. Harold died of natural causes, and his family began to move on, or so everyone thought.
So the Harold Allen case didn't really just appear on my desk. It started basically with a burglary on September the 19th, 2023 at Marcia Allen's home. Marcia Allen was actually out of the state at the time of the burglary. She was visiting Tennessee with her mother and father. And she had recently put in a home security system, and she had access to that home security system on her telephone. So when someone broke into her house at like 5 o'clock that morning, and she woke up in Tennessee about, I think, around 8 a.m., she was able to see on her phone that there were people that had been in her house. And one of those people were wearing a ski mask. She could see that they were in her safe and removing guns and jewelry and other items from the safe.
Marcia is able to watch what's happening in her house remotely, and she calls the cops.
Our detectives had went to Marcia Allen's home to investigate a burglary, and they requested my assistance in locating one of the suspects.
One of the burglars wore a ski mask the whole time, but one of them had his face exposed, and Marcia recognized him. This is 29-year-old Stephen White. By just after 10 a.m. the next day, the cops are at his house.
They said that y'all got me on camera last night burglarizing the place.
If that's the case, you know anything about it?
No.
Stephen is full of excuses.
I don't even have a car. This is my car. Somebody stole it from me on Sunday night.
But the camera doesn't lie.
The person that owns the house identified either you or him. I don't know which one. There's the picture.
And they got video too.
And we got video. That's just a still shot from a video.
Hold on, let me see here.
Stephen begins to fold.
In 90% of the cases that we work with burglaries, if we can make the victim happy, it's better for the suspect. This is straight up between us, me and him and you. Did we get that stuff back? You know how good that's going to make you look?
Wouldn't make me look very good.
It's going to make you look a lot better if they don't, because we already know who was in the house. And what do you think that he's going to say when we talk to him?
He was right there in the bed watching Nope.
We have him on video too.
The cop suggests that Stephen's partner in crime is his husband, but Stephen comes to his defense and reveals something startling.
So you're saying it wasn't him?
No.
It was somebody else then? Because that person does have a mask on.
Yep. I just smoke another cigarette. I'll explain the whole thing. His husband. Because that lady is the lady who told me to go get this. Her name's Marcia Buxton. And she asked me to go get that because her husband, Harold Allen, passed away of unknown causes in December.
Unprompted, Stephen brings up the death of Harold Allen in that very house 10 months earlier.
She gave me an address. She said, hey, honey, I need you to go up in here. I need you to grab someone and go up in here. And she told me to meet this dude up there. And I did. And I went over there. She wanted us to get rid of it. And this woman has hated me for years. But I'm best friends with her daughter.
Okay. What's the daughter's name?
Ashley Jones. Okay. She don't live here. She lives out in New Mexico somewhere right now. Because she told her mom she was not satisfied. I guess apparently Marsha asked Ashley if she could help her take care of her husband, and Ashley has a little baby that's mixed. And pardon my French, she was going on and on about how I got Ashley's a lesbian. She's with a Puerto Rican woman, and Marsha was going on and on about you don't need to be with none of them and sticks. You just need to come home and live with me. Trust me, after Christmas I'll have enough money to take care of us all for the rest of our lives.
This is a whole new angle on Harold's death and his grieving family. Marcia doesn't seem to be so sad at all. Instead, she's profited from it.
She told me, and I already deleted all the messages, like she asked me to. She said, hey, I'll give you $3,000. You can go to my house. Gave me the safe code. She said, you can go down there, you can get this, and I need it all taken somewhere, please, because his brothers is trying to get into my house and they want to take me to court and take all of Harold's guns and everything.
Could the burglary have been Marcia's idea?
She told me to go on Monday night and Tuesday night, and it sounds to me like she set me up real quick. The other person, whoever it was that she had that I met up with, I don't even know this guy from Adam. He said his name was Richard, and he said no names. No names. Had me unplug my Bluetooth thing, turn my phone off, and everything. Like, dude took my phone, and he is the one who told me where to go. Like, because I had the directions in my phone. I'm like, okay, this is what I've been told to do.
It's certainly convenient for Stephen to say he felt threatened while committing the burglary.
Imagine redness calmed in seconds. Skin 1 pounder in force and telepath.
You know, it was hard to tell at first whether he was just trying to give us information to try to get himself out of trouble that he was in for the burglary, or if he was actually being sincere. But regardless, we took it serious. We looked into it. We opened an investigation, and you know, I'm glad that we looked into it as much as we did, because if we hadn't, we would have never been able to solve the murder.
This is the kind of account that feels like the tip of the iceberg. Marcia and her family are turning out to be far more complicated than they first appeared.
Her daughter Ashley told me in November when we were living in Florida. She said, if you ever come back to Indiana, don't put it on your Facebook because my mom is watching you. And she don't like that husband of yours because she thinks that Nathaniel caused a rift between Ashley and her years ago. This woman is a murderer, okay? And I know that. I've not gone to nobody and said anything because I don't have no proof on it. This woman's a psychopath. And I'm telling you guys that right now.
And there it is, the most chilling suggestion of all.
According to her, her husband passed away because she needed that life insurance money. But she did not get that life insurance money because the policy was set to go to his brothers.
When someone passes away for a reason, it can't really be called passing away any longer. You'd call it something else.
She told me straight up, she said, I had to take care of Harold, maybe? Maybe his name was Harold Allen or Alan Harold, hell, I don't know.
Stephen's husband leads the investigators to his accomplice.
So the person that he left with came here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was that guy, was he a white guy or a black guy?
He was white.
He was white? Okay. You know what he was wearing?
I think black pants and a white shirt. I think that's a white shirt.
Okay. Kind of like what you're wearing right now?
Yeah.
Is that somebody you're familiar with, though, that you've talked to before?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's his name?
I think it's Kane Napier or something.
Kane Napier. Okay.
So Stephen is lying. He did know his accomplice, 28-year-old Kane Napier. But does that mean he's been lying about the rest?
Kane is my friend that I fucking took home. Well, I went and picked him up from his girlfriend's house last night.
Was he with you when you were unloading the guns here?
This morning?
Yeah. Whenever you got back with all the guns.
He was passed out. Yeah.
Truth that you have told us and the good stuff.
You've given us partial truth. We need the whole truth.
You know, don't.
And we already know that Cain was with you. So there's no use in protecting him now.
Well,
He admits it was Cain.
the reason I haven't told you is because Ashley's the one who set this up.
Okay.
And
You were the one that set it up?
no,
Ashley was.
not me. Ashley did.
So,
Because her mom, she told me her mom gave her $28,000. Let me keep drinking that.
Hey man, it's a nice looking place though. Especially with the flowers.
Because I'm going to go to jail. But I want to hit that one more time. Ashley was the one who said everything. But the reason why was because everything that I just said to you.
Okay.
This woman's murdered her husband. And if you go into her computer files.
So Stephen has changed his story. Now he's saying it was Marcia's daughter, Ashley, who was responsible for the burglary. But he's doubling down on the idea that Harold didn't die of natural causes. That, he says, is the truth.
I called her daughter, who explains to me Mom has gone crazy and her husband died of unknown causes, but I think it might have been a heart attack, but I know it wasn't that because he was just fine. Everyone was drinking on Christmas Eve. Marcia went into the kitchen and made a root beer float with whipped cream and sprinkles on top of it. And she poured something out of a bottle into there. And she told Ashley that that was his little extra shot because he likes spiked root beer floats. That's what she told her daughter. And she gave it to him. He drank it. I guess her granddaughter went to take a drink. And she like grabbed her, yanked her away and started screaming, "You're supposed to be in bed. You need to go to bed. I want to drink a Pop's root beer float. You're supposed to be in bed." That's what Ashley said to me.
Stephen recounts an incident around Christmas time. It's secondhand, so he gets the date wrong. By Christmas Eve, after all, Harold was already dead.
The story I know was Marcia had took all their phones and put them up while they were drinking. I'm gonna put the phones on charge, guys. We're gonna put them in the back room. We don't need them ringing, waking the girls up. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna have our drinks. We're gonna have our adult time, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, I think Ashley said it was horrible because like an hour and a half later, he started saying, "Oh, I'm tired, I'm drunk, I gotta go to bed. I don't feel right." He only had that one drink, apparently, and like maybe 2 beers.
From the sounds of it, someone had put something in Harold's drink, and the consequences were fatal. But who did it? And if we're to take Stephen's story seriously, who set up the burglary? Marcia or Ashley?
I talked to Ashley, sometimes still on the phone. I'm pretty positive that that was Marcia.
Stephen's pretty set on who to blame.
Marcia done killed her husband. Sorry, Mom. Marcia set me up.
But the cops can't take anything for granted.
So to initially start investigating the murder after we received the information from Stephen White in the burglary, we brought Marcia Allen in on September the 20th, 2023. And she was giving us information about the burglary and the items that were taken. And before she left, she was asked about her husband, Harold Allen's death. During that interview, a detective asked her if she would give consent to a phone download, and she agreed. Once we received the phone download and was able to, start dissecting text messages, emails, Google search history, things like that, that was probably the moment that we realized the information that we had received during the burglary about Harold Allen's death was real.
Based on this digital evidence, the investigators get a search warrant for Marcia's house.
How's it going, Marcia? We're here today because we got a search warrant for your house, okay, to go through some stuff. I know you probably feel a little bit maybe intimidated with all the officers here.
Well, no, because I'm missing a high. I don't know.
Before I ask you anything, though, I want to make sure you understand your rights, okay? Then I can talk to you.
The warrant is for all her other electronic devices. They carry it out early in the morning on October 16th.
What stands out in my memory about the day that we executed the warrants at Marcia Allen's home is probably once we got her back to the sheriff's department and started interviewing her again for like the second time. And this was the time that we actually were able to present text messages to Marcia, show her the text messages on my computer and say, what's this mean? Help us clear this up. And she had an excuse for everything.
Like before, the cops start with the burglary and her home security.
I had about maybe 15,000, 20,000 in there. Well, when I went back to put it back into my savings, I only had like $3,000 left.
And it was in the safe.
It was in the safe. And I didn't have cameras at the time, so I couldn't prove anything.
But the only person, I think you told the detective at one point that knew that.
Ashley and my husband.
Of the three people who knew the combination to the safe, one of them was dead, and one of them was Marcia herself. And either Ashley or Marcia must have given Stephen the code to the safe later on, as the CCTV footage shows Stephen looking at his phone before opening the safe.
Was the reason for the cameras because the money went missing?
No.
Or just...
I had never left my cats alone for that long before. And I had a bad feeling. I thought maybe one of them had died or something. And I felt bad if I didn't know about it. And I got to keep an eye on my cats. I did never in my life would have thought I would have caught anybody coming in the house. That shocked me.
Especially somebody you know.
I didn't know who it was. It scared me. I'm still scared. And so I got the security surveillance camera because every time I hear a noise, I jump.
Was Marcia just paranoid? Or was there a reason she was so jumpy after Harold's death?
Was there any reason to think anyone else, I mean, or maybe even Ashley would have wanted to hurt Harold? I mean, maybe...
I thought things were fine. I was a little I had no idea. If I didn't have an inkling, I was running out.
I'm just, trying to put two and two together, like the money was missing, she got the money. Maybe she knew that there was a life policy. And
life policy wasn't that big. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean, was he mean to you? Was he mean to her? He wasn't mean to the kids or anything like that, or where she would have had some kind of way or some reason for any kind of retaliation.
I don't understand.
Okay.
According to Marcia, it was most likely Ashley who engineered the burglary in September, and Ashley who killed Harold 9 months earlier. Marcia claims to be ignorant of the whole thing.
I mean, just from the messages alone, not including other stuff, that is going to come to light. That something was done to him. We're really trying to wrap our minds around it too, because unless these messages mean something totally different. But if you know that she did something, I don't want you, and I know it's your daughter, and I have kids. I have 3 daughters, I have 1 son. And I know how hard that would be. They're young. Mine, not as old as Ashley, so my kids haven't had the chance to betray me the way that your daughter has betrayed you. And I can't imagine the situation, being in that situation that you're in. But I just want you to know that we are talking to you first. And if you do know something that she did, to make sure that you tell me today. Because when we talk to her, I don't think she's going to hold back.
The investigators present Ashley as suspect number 1. They're giving Marcia the opportunity to get ahead of the story by telling them what happened.
You're human. Everyone makes mistakes. And if, my feeling is if there was a mistake, then we need to know that.
I have a feeling that things are twisted.
Why you think that?
She's a child. She'll say things. And I always call it telling the truth without telling the truth. She'll say something. Maybe it's like she's joking or something, but she's telling the truth.
The investigators try to draw out any natural friction between mother and daughter. Ashley's been living in New Mexico with another woman, also named Ashley.
Did you support her, being with another woman?
I don't care what she's having.
I mean, if she did do something to hurt her, is she going to tell her? She's probably not going to tell me that.
I don't want to see why she would. That makes no sense to me.
Ashley has been married in the past to a man named Tarson Jones, who died suddenly in 2019.
This is all I have of my nephew.
William says Tyson was found dead in his home in 2019. just days after he received an inheritance from his great-grandfather. He says family members were unaware of Tyrerson's death until they got a call from Ashley.
She had his body cremated, quick, fast, and in a hurry. So before the time he even asked for an autopsy or to have anything done about it.
What happened to Ashley's, her husband?
He had the front part of the heart had a blockage in it. And they said that no one would know it unless they caught it and everything. It ended up killing him. So I guess he had a heart attack, I'm not sure.
It's an eerily familiar situation. A coincidence or something worse? This is when the investigators bring up the supposedly poisoned root beer mentioned by Stephen.
I had root beer close. If that happened, we all would have had something done to us. You knew where I lived.
And then to, make the accusation that you did something to your husband.
I didn't do anything to my husband.
Did Harold actually die on the 20th or was it the 19th? What was it, started slowing down real fast?
He wasn't talking right. He was slowing his words. He had been doing that for a couple of days.
Stop!
Marcia paints a picture of Harold's ongoing health issues, which we know now were caused by more than just bad luck. In response, the cops show her a screenshot of one of her text exchanges with Ashley.
There's a picture that she had the order pulled up on her.
Unfortunately, just on that piece of paper, you can't see it. But then this is you to her. It says, how much do you need?
She asks me for money all the time. Mainly it's for cigarettes.
The order, dated December 14th, is for half a gallon of ethylene glycol, odorless and colorless. It's used in things like antifreeze, and when ingested, it's deadly.
So that's like the UPS tracking code for this ethylene glycol.
She says maybe UPS tracking code for everything that she orders for Christmas. I never look at them.
But this one was sent from you.
If Ashley used ethylene glycol to poison her stepfather, Marcia's trying to claim she didn't know anything about it. But her digital footprint suggests otherwise.
You text it all the time.
It does show when you deleted them on September 20th.
The burglary took place on September 19th. The very next day, Marcia deleted her text conversations with Ashley, perhaps because she knew the police would now have a reason to look.
Luckily, we were able to still retrieve those text messages. You could see on the download when the messages were deleted, and she actually deleted them while she was in the interview with our detective.
Thanks to the messages, they now knew what to look for when overturning the original autopsy.
So once we find out about Harold's death, we have to contact the hospital and ask them about the autopsy and receiving the autopsy or the coroner's office. And we learn at that point that this autopsy, they had removed Harold's heart and still had heart tissue at the hospital. We learned that the hospital keeps any organ tissue that they remove during an autopsy. They keep that for 1 year. So we were within that 1 year. We were pushing 1 year, but we were still within that 1 year. So we had the heart tissue, and we also had the blood that was taken from the autopsy. So we were able to hand deliver the heart tissue and his blood to a lab in Philadelphia. Ultimately, we were able to determine that at the time of Harold Allen's death, he did have ethylene glycol in his system.
It was the ethylene glycol that killed him, the poison that Ashley and Marcia had collaborated on ordering. Marcia's been trying to cast blame on Ashley, but she was just as involved.
I don't know that there was ever a time where we thought Marcia was more guilty than Ashley, or Ashley was more guilty than Marcia. It was a duo. They were both equally involved and are both equally just as guilty as the other.
On December 17th, they discussed the imminent arrival of the poison.
You guys maybe thought that the order was coming, and then she wanted to know about slushies that night. That seems a little bit odd to me, considering that we were just talking about an order of ethylene glycol coming.
On December 19th, it arrives.
The mail is here, smiley face.
So is being claimed is that you guys poisoned him.
Which is not true.
But that's what's being claimed.
I
And that's what we're trying to figure out, because when you look at these messages,
It looks squishy, I know.
but it's saying that root beer float is what it was done.
You know, it was only put in his. If the ethylene glycol was only put in Harold's and not yours or Ashley's or the kids, I mean, you guys would be fine.
Undeterred by her excuses, the investigators dig in deeper to previous conversations.
What are foxglove seeds? Okay.
I know what foxglove is.
That's foxglove.
That's a plant that's around different areas.
Anyone ever come into contact with any of that stuff or anything?
No.
No one ever come in contact with it?
Actually would ask me about different plants that were poisonous, afraid that they would get into it, or because it was too little, she didn't know what it was when they went places.
You said, I need foxglove seeds. And she says, I think I can get them at Walmart.
They're pretty flowers.
And then she said, thank you, we are watching a new movie on Netflix with the kids and those are traceable.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either, and you see why that's concerning, because she says those are traceable.
I don't know what she meant by that.
Marcia's response to Ashley saying the seeds were traceable? If they look for it, LOL. Foxglove seeds are toxic if ingested. They can lead to symptoms like vomiting, fever, and chills. This conversation took place on November 27th. On November 30th, Harold showed up at the hospital with these exact symptoms.
So you said, I am irritated and can't sleep. This is on November 28th. Can't sleep peacefully. I need this to be over. It's hanging on by threads, and he's mean and narcissistic. Like, it's hanging on by threads. What's it's?
My nose.
He snaps and acts all sweet and innocent, like I am being mean to him for days now. And then she says, and it is hanging on by a thread. It's so long because he's big. Moves slow and has to build. You say, I wish it would reach its climax and be done, LOL. She says, agreed. She said, close though, it's symptoms, then that.
The it they were referring to could be none other than Harold himself. Marcia had poisoned him, and they were waiting for him to die.
You know what she means by the second one where it says, if not, we'll do something else?
We tried everything to get rid of the flu, the COVID. We tried all kinds of meds.
This same day, Marcia sent Ashley a photo of Harold asleep, sick on the couch. His condition was almost all they talked about. But he rallied, and he got better. So they tried again.
I think you ordered something for her. She says you can't touch the plant when they come, just saying. Gloves. You say laugh out loud, that's what I was going to tell you also. You will need gloves.
Yeah, those are the plants that were in the basement.
She said, aha. I think you said, aha. She said, oh, I know, I'll need to wear gloves and have some time alone to prepare the root.
This was on December 2nd. Ashley had placed an order for a water hemlock plant the day before. It's the most toxic plant that grows in North America. Just a tiny piece of its root is enough to kill a horse. Marcia put it in a chili, a Sprite, and a margarita for Harold. He got sick, but he didn't die. And these attempts had been going on for a month. In September that year, Ashley ordered pong pong seeds on eBay, another poisonous plant that could be slipped into food.
Doesn't she know that those can be tracked? You know, purchases, messages. Oh well.
In October, she texted Marcia to say they were arriving that day. Marcia responded, yay.
The medical history of him going...
I don't know if the sausages I defrosted are going to cook now. But you know, at the same time, I'm freaking hungry.
The hospital was always misdiagnosed by ER staff. So, but it was common symptoms like diarrhea or stomach pain. I think he had blood in his stool at one time. They had diagnosed him with some diverticulitis. He was also on insulin, He was a diabetic, so the symptoms that he was experiencing were consistent with what the ER staff was diagnosing him with, but they were also consistent with, being poisoned by pong pong seed or by water hemlock.
If someone had noticed the implications of his symptoms, he might have realized what was going on. But they didn't, and he continued to eat and drink whatever his wife gave him.
Harold thought he had a wife that loved him, and he had a stepdaughter who he loved, who had a child, and he welcomed Ashley and her child into his house and let her move in. He loved spending time with his wife. He loved to go on vacation with his wife. But, my impression of their relationship is Harold being that guy who just likes to spend time with his wife and, has no idea that they're trying to kill him.
Did you guys go to school together?
We did. We went to high school together, graduated together. Didn't know who either one of us was. We went to our 30-year class reunion and got to talking and been together ever since.
They'd only been together for 3 years, but that was enough time for their relationship to have soured, as evidenced in the text messages. They were fighting, and Marcia said she'd lost trust in him. Ashley was with her every step of the way, but the investigators still try to keep her confidence.
I can't imagine how you feel being betrayed by your daughter. But at this point, there is so much content there, and I would almost call it evidence.
In using this word, betrayed, they're using the language of her own text messages. On September 19th, the evening of the burglary, Marcia accused Ashley of betraying her by stealing from her.
I feel like Ashley had a lot to do with this, and maybe you were dragged along. The same day that this is delivered, there's root beer floats. And then the very next day, Harold's dead.
The investigators turned to questions of motive, such as life insurance.
The 1 year's pay, which was $64, and then he had a $50,000 one, which paid for his funeral, and I had to pay off a couple of things on the house because I wouldn't be able to afford to keep the house payment plus that.
So was there any talk between March and September when the money was taken? Was there any talk between Ashley, like her wanting to know how much money was there, or her is there still money there, or maybe she felt entitled to getting some of the money?
I honestly don't know why she took it.
She wouldn't feel like you owed her money for her helping you kill Harold?
No, because I did not kill him.
And there's stranger things to come.
Me and another detective were reading through it, and it's like, do they think he's possessed? That's literally our thought process.
Marcia and Ashley talked a lot about Harold's dark energy, calling him demonic and possessed.
I always ignored that stuff, which I probably shouldn't have.
And then it says it's looking for someone to attach itself to, and then she talks about the grandchildren, and you say, well, that's not going to happen. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. But at this time...
I'm a very spiteful person. But I gotta remind myself not to do these kinds of things.
Whatever's trying to attach.
I'm freaking consumed sometimes by resentment, but I gotta remind myself not to act upon it.
Or attack the grandchildren is in him, according to the messages. It's in him. And
she's always said that, but I've never believed it.
And she thought that was some kind of demon that was in him?
She's always talked about stuff like that. I just never paid attention to it.
Either Ashley or Marshall or both believed that there was some kind of demon or something inside of Harold that they were going to try to kill.
This is a new, disturbing layer to the case, but Marcia insists she never believed in that, and she sticks to her story.
There's one ticket here, there's you and Ashley. I don't know if you guys are going to fight over who gets that ticket, but somebody is going to use that ticket.
I already know what she's going to say, and it's all going to be lies.
Marcia doesn't take that ticket. She admits to nothing, and the investigators terminate the interview. Marcia leaves the police department under a cloud of suspicion. She isn't under arrest, but it's looming, so she takes matters into her own hands. That same evening, she dies by suicide.
UFC Oriental soups with plenty of bits and authentic Chinese flavor.
So we were going to interview Ashley Jones on October the 17th, and which is the day after her mother just passed away. So Ashley Jones didn't know that Marcia had passed away yet. And we had a decision to make then. Do we tell Ashley about her mother, or do we interview her first and then tell her after the interview? And it was my decision to not tell her before the interview. And the reason that I chose that decision is because I wanted the truth in the interview. I didn't want to give her an out as far as being able to push this on her mom, who she knew had already passed away.
We'll be with you in just a minute. What was your relationship like with Harold?
He was nice.
Okay.
You know, he didn't really talk much, you know. But
What did he pass away from?
I don't know, Mom didn't really say.
So far, she's playing ignorant.
Was she having financial problems?
She said he would just blow through money and make $4,000 a month and barely get by.
Talking about Harold?
Yeah.
It was around August 2022 when Ashley and her kids moved in with Marcia and Harold, just before the first poisoning attempt.
How did Harold feel about you guys moving down? Was he cool with that, or did he ever get kind of grumpy because of it? Or
No, he was actually very nice about it. He loved the girls. He said, I didn't have a chance to be a dad or a grandpa or anything, and we were eating that up.
She's painting a picture almost too good to be true.
Do you remember anything ever mentioned about Harold possibly having some kind of demon, or I think it was referred to as it?
She would say something about an it when his moods would flip. That was pertaining to whenever he became snippy with her.
As she downplays the extent of her mother's belief in demons.
I thought that more was like just a metaphor.
But this doesn't match up with the text messages, where Ashley was frequently sending her mother Amazon links to energy cleansing candles and talking about cleansing herbs from the Bible. So they try the same strategy on Ashley that they used just yesterday on her mom.
I think at some point she probably dragged you into something that you didn't want to be in, or there was something to do with those demons or something, you know, with that, but we just want to know the truth. And I think you know the truth.
there was definitely ethylene glycol that was ordered.
I mean, is your relationship with your mom good?
Yes and no. I gotta just put up with what she does. She'd always try to drag me into whatever she gets into.
The way Ashley seizes the investigator's words and quotes them back at him is a major red flag. She knows she's in trouble.
Like I said, she said all the time, can I use your phone to look something up? Which I thought was weird, but that's wrong. Whatever.
Okay. Somebody in that house that night did something to her. So, we either have to look at Marcia, you, or Ashley, your fiance, because I don't think the two kids did it. And I think that Ashley, your fiance, I don't think she did it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get through to you, that this is very important. If you know, because, you know, there's going to be one ticket here, and I don't know if you and your mom are going to fight over that ticket, but we already know what happened to him.
But with Marcia dead, there is no ticket. Ashley is the only one in their crosshairs.
Their life would have been good
Hell yeah.
I wanted to be free of him completely.
Fate of Fiona. Wait, is this Fate of Fiona? Or Purple Son of Xerxes?
Such deadly potency! Flies eat up their eyes with blighted breath!
Flies eat up their eyes.
She wanted him dead. And I said, you're not going to have it.
She's happily casting all the blame on Marcia, but that isn't good enough.
So my question is, did she ask you to help by placing order for her?
She asked me to place
For the ethylene glycol?
for something like that.
You do remember it being ethylene glycol, right?
53 minutes in, she admits to buying the ethylene glycol from Marcia. Marcia sent her the money for it, $32 through Cash App, a transaction the cops can trace.
So that woman do what she wants and always answers as well.
She also admits to helping with the foxglove seeds.
Was she concerned that it wasn't working?
Yeah. She said, I'm never going to be free. And I'm like,
That reminds me of my job. Although I wasn't in law enforcement before. Of course, I was in customer service.
right? Begging for the same.
And if you go order something online, it's all traceable. Even if you use like an alias, things like that.
She kept saying, I can't live this way. That was the same repeat.
So I always assume that, law enforcement or technical support or everyone in the back offices can trace everything that I'm doing. It's pretty scary at first. Pretty scary, Kinda makes me think that I don't have any privacy, but as long as I'm not doing anything illegal or, trying to do something against, not doing something that can, screw someone over, then I'm good. Now, if anything happens to me,
Immediately! Leaving a trail of sickness!
of course, I'd really like law enforcement or, support to help them help me. Help them help me or help them give me justice.
Repetitive cycle is. Until she gets sedated, she doesn't stop and try life's hell if she doesn't get what she wants.
Let's not forget that it was Ashley who said on November 28th that if the foxglove seeds didn't work, then they could try something else. She's making herself out to be far more passive than she actually was.
You knew she was going to be putting ethylene glycol in the drink?
I knew that she intended to.
Manipulative, but also easily manipulated.
The demon stuff. Can you tell me more about that? Did she really think that he was possessed?
She thought she had something in him. She did. I thought she was just, like I said earlier, dissociating what she didn't like and making like a character. But the way she was worded, she really believed something was inside it. That it was going to attack everybody in the house and it was making her mean, and she really believed it.
But the burglary, organized by Ashley, suggests a rather different reason she kept her mouth shut about her mother's beliefs.
Time went on, it seemed like Ashley probably didn't even really believe this. It was just a motive for her to get her mother on board with killing Harold so she could gain financially. So how much money did your mom end up with from the insurance? $60,000. They had also looked into how much all the guns that were worth and that were in their safe. They had also looked into how much the property in the house was. I think at one time they said the house was going to be around $350,000. So they were going to sell all of his property. They were going to sell his truck. They were going to sell his motorcycle. They were going to sell his house. They were going to sell everything that he owned to gain financially.
Ashley could claim it was her spiritual mom's idea all along, but the digital evidence and the cold hard cash tell a different story. She'd expected to profit from her stepfather's death, and when Marcia withheld the proceeds, it looks like she enlisted Stephen to help her steal them. She practically said as much in her texts with him. On May 16, 2023, she sent him a link to Harold's obituary, saying, "Mom owes me and f***ed me over." Little did she know that the burglary would be her undoing, and Marcia's. After the interview, another cop comes in.
So, I'm here to talk to you about something completely different. Contaminate them! It's not really an easy conversation, okay? After your mom was here yesterday and spoke with us, we gave a call to go check on her welfare, and I met with them, and she's passed away. What? She passed away.
My sword awaits!
What happened? Without going into a lot of detail, she appeared that there was something ingested possibly. And passed away.
The death of her mother changes everything for her defense, but it's too late. She's confessed.
So, we wanted to tell you in person that you are under the arrest for the murder of Harold, okay? And conspiracy to commit murder and attempted murder.
As the state prepares for her trial, they think they've got all the evidence they need, but Ashley continues to surprise them. In April 2024, they're approached by one of her fellow inmates who shows them a letter Ashley gave her to smuggle out of the prison. In it, she talks about a prayer list that she wants to add people to, including Stephen White and Kane Napier. Prayer list here is code for hit list. The investigators get the inmate to wear a wire. A lot of the audio is difficult to make out because Ashley's careful.
With a high-powered rifle right there, back in there.
There was a high-powered rifle mentioned and maybe 2 shots to the neck.
Okay, right here, she said, when people get guns, scopes, high-powered rifle. Right here, said there's 30 minutes conclusion instantly. And right here. Okay, alright, right here. She touched me, Ashley specifically.
The inmate gets Ashley to write another letter with more details of her proposed targets, including addresses and a map.
This is Stephen White's mother. This is her handwriting, not mine.
So she wrote all this?
Yes. This is the layout of the apartment building where she's wanting them to shoot. Because I told her about the
Who was she wanting her to shoot?
Ashley Neves, and she was to take out the little girl. I don't know if you guys heard that.
According to this inmate, Ashley was putting out a hit on her own fiancé.
Did she say why she wanted Ashley Neves taken out?
Because she said she was there when she poisoned Harold.
This is not the behavior of someone who was coerced by her mother into helping her kill. No, Ashley is a killer herself.
OneChat 医疗，一个窗口管理所有聊天平台，告别繁琐切换。
Some of the messages that stick out to us the most is probably the LOLs, laugh out loud, smiley face emojis when Harold is suffering and, you know, in severe pain, or even at the ER because they're trying to kill him and they're laughing about it. I remember there being a text message where Ashley laughed that the ER staff sent him home. Her text message was LOL, they dismissed him, or they dismissed him, LOL, one of the two. But she was like, she couldn't believe, like just laughing that the hospital staff basically dismissed him from the hospital and let him go home. And they had gotten away again with trying to kill him.
Worse, it's a pattern of behavior.
Ashley Jones had been married before. Her husband died of heart problems. Marsha Allen was living with a man in Crothersville, which is also in Jackson County, and he died of heart problems. So it was like this continuously, like it seemed like the men that they were around were dying, and they all were dying of heart problems. I believe that they have done this before, and I have no doubts if they weren't stopped and if they weren't caught, they would have kept doing it and probably done it again already.
Ashley pleads guilty to level 1 felony charges of conspiracy to commit murder and attempted murder in 2025. She's sentenced to 50 years in prison.
I am very, very happy with the 50-year sentence. I think that the 50-year sentence is probably the biggest sentence that anyone in Jackson County has ever received.
Both Stephen White and Kane Napier plead guilty to a level 4 felony charge of burglary. They're each sentenced to 1,095 days.
I mean, that must have saved a lot of people, a lot or a few people, from being added to their list.
To include time already served. Ashley's charges on conspiracy to commit burglary are dismissed in September 2025. She's already behind bars, so it doesn't make much difference. Marsha escaped justice. The kicker, in that year before her death, she wrote a book about her husband's death.
First look, we thought, this maybe is just a woman that's grieving her husband. But then, after the evidence and the text messages, and we see the true Marsha Allen for what she was, it seemed to be more of a deterrent. Like the book was something maybe meant to throw us off of her.
Published on Amazon on June 8, 2023, just 3 months before the burglary and everything that followed. The book was called From Surviving to Thriving, Rebuilding Your Life After the Loss of a Spouse.
One thing I do know about the book is that the date of Harold's death is wrong, which kind of told me that it was an AI written book. She didn't even put her thoughts into it.
Even after Harold was gone, Marsha was trying to profit off him.
He loved his family. He was a hardworking man. He wasn't a rich man. He worked every day of his life. He worked the night that he was killed. He worked that day. And on his way home from work, he stopped to get wood pellets for the stove to keep the house warm for his wife and stepdaughter.
To repay him for this generosity, they killed him. And if it wasn't for Ashley's apparent greed in setting up the burglary, no one would ever have known. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, the U.S. National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7, 365 days a year. 1-800-799-SAFE, 7233, or thehotline.org. What do you think about this horrifying story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time,
It's really a story of green.
keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder.
Story of green.
Imagine calm, hydrated skin with no redness. Celemax Noni Ampoule. Repair and hydrate in 1 step. Lazada, 100% authenticity guaranteed. Free shipping included. Tap the link now.
They're trying to say that I I dumped a body, Karen.
So you have your ID?
What? What do you mean what? You f***ing drove him there.
You're the one driving the car.
I am the sergeant.
Yeah, what happened was he was fine. We were driving to the bank, and then right after we left the bank, he just went like this. He died from old age.
On the night of March 4th, 2024, the Ashtabula Police Department arrives at this address. They find hostile residents, an atmosphere of suspicion, and a car registered to a dead man.
So where'd you find it? Where'd you pick this guy up at?
He lives here.
80-year-old Douglas Lehman was dropped off at the emergency department earlier that day and declared dead on arrival, and his cause of death is unknown.
Hey, why didn't you stick around? I mean, you know how this looks. It looks pretty weird, right? We can all agree on that, right?
So you have a cell phone? I do.
Why don't you call 911?
The more the detectives dig into this case, the stranger it will turn out to be.
This is like another level. Like, this is f***ing sick.
And the truth of what really happened to Douglas that day is almost beyond believing.
We've never seen anything quite like this. I've been doing this for 28 years, and it's unique to say the least.
Hopefully it'll be the last time we encounter something like this.
Here on the Decoder, with exclusive body cam footage, this is the chilling story of the death of Douglas Lehman. The cops arrive at Douglas's address in Ashtabula, Ohio at just after 9 p.m. And immediately it seems like key witnesses are leaving the scene.
Yeah, you guys stay here.
It has nothing to do with me whatsoever.
You're staying here. You're staying here, not free to leave. Understood?
I understand what you're saying. I have no disrespect.
Okay.
But that wasn't what, I don't know. I just got off work for a bit ago and come down and look at the car to work on it. So that's all I'm involved in this at all whatsoever. I know nothing about that.
Involved in what?
Whatever.
What are they talking about?
I have no idea.
You must know.
No, I don't.
They don't.
Huh, interesting. Do you live here?
No, sir. I live down the road.
You just live down the road?
Yes, behind AutoZone.
So what are you doing here right now?
I just got a ride and she came over to the house and asked me if I'd come down and look at the car, and that's what I was here for. I'm not really a mechanic or nothing like that. You know what I mean? I'm a roofer, but...
Listen, this is a death investigation, okay? So...
Well, nothing about it, sir.
What's your name, buddy?
Why do I have to identify myself, sir, when I'm not in...
Because it's a homicide. It might be a homicide.
A homicide?
And you're here.
Okay.
So what's your name?
Listen, I have a couple
That's fine.
warrants.
Don't worry about it.
All right, my name's Brad, B-R-A-D.
B-R-A-D?
Yes, sir. I'm a single father.
What Brad doesn't quite understand is that until they know how and where Douglas died, this house might be the scene of a murder.
Do you know what's going on at all? So these people dropped off a dead body at the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And then they left.
Okay.
I knew that happened. I didn't know any circumstance.
So I don't know whether you were involved or not, Brad. I'm not saying you were, whether you weren't.
Just walking dogs here.
But right now you just happen to be here.
Okay, no problem, officer.
The sergeant checks Brad's warrants with dispatch.
He has a couple misdemeanor warrants with us, a few misdemeanor warrants with the sheriff's office, and a traffic warrant with the highway patrol.
What are the misdemeanors for?
Repeat?
Does he have any? Is it domestic violence or anything, or what are the warrants for?
They're just traffic offenses. And when someone else comes out of the house, it becomes clear that Brad isn't who the cops are really after.
Yeah, I know nothing about this guy.
All right, go ahead and get out of here.
Thanks.
All right, good night.
This is 55-year-old Lorene Biafarello. The sergeants recognize her from the hospital CCTV. It was her, alongside another woman present on the scene, 63-year-old Karen Kaspalm, who dropped off Douglas Lehman. Lorene was driving, while Karen was seen in the back seat.
Oh, this is his house?
He lives here. I've been living with them.
I've been living with him for 8 years.
And then he died and you just dropped him off at the hospital?
This is her. This is all her.
You were on camera.
She can't walk.
But you were on camera.
So you were there?
There's a picture of you.
I did what she asked me to do.
I asked her to run up because I can't walk.
I wasn't
I asked her
thinking
to run up and get
about-
somebody.
Listen.
You guys are all talking at
They
once.
took him out of the car. They closed the car door.
They didn't
And
say
I wasn't
anything
even
to us.
thinking.
Who?
Wait a minute.
Who, the nurses?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't you think I should stick
7
around
people
then?
that came out there. And then they started pounding on his chest, trying to get him going. And I just very...
I mean, that's what you do. That's what happens at a hospital. It's weird.
The two women brought Douglas to the emergency room, where the staff immediately started working on him, trying to resuscitate him. But it was too late, and the women had already driven off without giving them Douglas's name, making him a John Doe.
We were initially notified by the local hospital that a man's body had been dropped off. He wasn't identified at the time, and the two women had dropped him off, and they didn't identify themselves either.
It was only at the coroner's office that they were able to identify him, and they also found that his body was extremely malnourished. It's not uncommon for an elderly man of his age, but it raises red flags.
But you didn't come back later.
No.
Yes,
and you
I
didn't
did.
even call them.
Yes, I did.
When?
Oh, I called them twice. And then I came back. My daughter, we just got back. I have a card from some lady that I talked to there.
Who did you talk to?
I just got back.
From where? The
Like I
hospital?
have about a half hour, 45 minutes ago.
From where?
From the hospital from the ER.
But you just told me you couldn't go up there because your car
My
wasn't
daughter came and picked me up and drove me there. I had to wait for her to get back from Menor. I told them this.
Karen's story is full of contradictions. First, she didn't return to the hospital, then she did.
Well, let's back up a minute. So you guys dropped this. The old man is deceased at the hospital, and then you just leave. Why didn't you stick around? I mean, you know how this looks. It looks pretty weird, right? I mean, you can agree. We can all agree on that, right?
I
think it's weird.
doing anything wrong.
But don't you?
I mean, you lived with the guy for 8 years. Didn't you care to sit
Yes,
around?
I did.
You didn't even get out of the car.
To go pay a bill, and I said I was going to come.
You had to go pay your bill, so your dead boyfriend just going to lay there in the hospital without anybody
He
knowing.
was dead.
Apparently, Karen had better things to do than wait around while her boyfriend was declared deceased.
No, wait, and no one's.
He was dead.
And no one said anything about you. You keep avoiding what I'm talking about, right? You're avoiding it. It's weird, right? Can we agree that it's kind of strange? If I dropped your dead body off at the hospital and left without talking to anyone, you'd think that's strange, right? From the outside looking in.
He would want me to get in anyway.
I didn't ask. That's not the question. That's not the question.
Yes, it's weird.
Let's say nothing happened.
Everyone was on raspy
You
voice.
drop somebody off, they're dead. You don't stick around because you got to go pay the electric bill. That's odd.
It's odd.
No one's yet raised the possibility of the pair getting in trouble. They just want to know how Douglas came to be dead in the ER. That Karen mentions it herself is another red flag.
Maybe you got your priorities a little mixed up. I don't know. I care about the person that I love. I want to find out what's going on. Is he going to make it?
I just knew he was dead, but I called whenever I got back.
They knew he was dead, but they dropped him at the ER anyway.
Where were you at when you realized he was dead? Was he here, or were you in a
at
car?
the hospital.
But you know, I heard before that only a doctor can pronounce someone dead. So I really don't know. I wouldn't know what to do in a situation. I mean,
When I dropped him off.
What was
They were like pounding on his
Well, what was this demeanor?
stuff.
Well, like, how did you notice something was wrong?
As soon as we left the bank,
Which
kind of just like
What bank?
slumped over.
what bank was it?
U.S. Service.
Right by the
USA
police
Bank,
station?
Whatever it's called.
Right by the police department?
The Center Street.
Center Street.
Okay.
They'd apparently been running errands that afternoon when Karen realized something was wrong.
You have a cell phone?
I do.
Why didn't you call 911?
Because I was in my car. I was going to just take him to the hospital.
So you're in the bank, he slumps over in the car, and then you just drove him straight to the hospital?
Yes.
I mean, I can see that's rational. So then you get to the hospital. Where did you drop him off at the turnaround, I take
I
it?
went right up to the ambulance.
Up to the ambulance place.
Yeah.
So you drop him off there, all the nurses and stuff.
Everybody comes out.
And of course, and
They put him out of the car, put him on the stretcher, close the
you keep saying that like they're policemen, like they're saying.
Back later, they
You're
said
free to
okay.
leave.
Did anybody tell the hospital who this guy was?
I wasn't even thinking about that, and they didn't even ask. Like when they slammed the door, I just said I'll be back, and they said okay.
They just left him there like it was none of their business.
And you know this because you're an adult. They have a duty to care for the sick person. They don't have any duty for you. But you have a duty to care for your loved one, right? I mean, you don't think this is weird, right?
If I thought I was doing
It's
anything
weird.
wrong, I wouldn't have done it.
But you're
I thought
dancing around
Corey
this.
was
You're dancing
dead
around
because
it.
they were like, giving him CPR. And
So I guess we don't all think it's weird,
and
just us.
He had stage 4 cancer.
Were you able to get your
So
bill
I knew he
paid?
was dead.
Yeah, did you get your bill paid?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Did you take money out of the bank? Is that why you were at the bank?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you take cash out?
Yes.
And how much did you take out?
$900.
To pay what bill?
The Spectrum.
$900 for a Spectrum bill?
Well, that's what we take out every month. We take out $900.
For different bills?
For all the bills, yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. So the bank teller's gonna say, I remember those folks and that guy was alive and talking?
Sure. Well,
Sure, or yes?
Talking, but he was, sitting there.
He was alive?
Yeah.
Did he have a wallet on him?
Yes. He was alive. He was squeezing Lori's arm.
Okay.
Currently, Karen's just coming across as an irrational and unfeeling partner, but there's still no explanation as to how Douglas died.
What do you think he had a heart attack then, or?
He has stage 4 cancer.
Oh.
My husband just got him for him. He's 81.
Sure.
He was going downhill. I thought I would have, a few more years with him.
How long have you been living here then?
8 years.
With him?
Yes.
Is this his car then?
Yes. Well, it's mine now, but
You guys aren't married, are you?
no. He didn't want to get married because
Okay, so
of
it's not your car.
It messes up the security. Well, it's in the will.
Oh. That you get everything?
Yes.
When the estate's closed. You get the house too and stuff?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
The sergeant withdraws to talk to another officer about it.
This is getting stranger and stranger, is it?
The deeper you go.
Yeah.
Stop here and let the diesel go. Because it's going to be a giant fishing well.
Maybe she's telling the truth, maybe not. Who knows?
It's weird.
It's really weird.
The whole thing's weird.
And it's weirder that she doesn't think it's weird.
The answers, if they're anywhere, lie inside Douglas's house.
Hey, who else is in the house?
Well, there's one in the basement.
Is there people in there?
No, there's nobody here.
Did you say someone's...
Bathroom in the
I
basement.
thought you just said someone's in the basement.
No, she wants to use
No,
the bathroom.
I said there's a bathroom in the basement because I have to go to the bathroom. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go with her. There's nobody else in the house though, right?
No, sir.
And while they're waiting for the search warrant, the sergeant impresses upon Karen the seriousness of the situation.
There's a lot of lies here. So, don't talk, please. Because I'm going to talk and explain to you what's going to happen. There's a detective coming out. If I were you, I would strongly recommend you get the true story before he gets here.
Okay.
And tell him the true story. Because I know you're not telling me the truth. As a fact.
Okay.
Get the facts straight when the detective comes.
Okay.
Because it's not looking good.
Okay.
How old are you?
63.
Oh, that's that.
I want to spend those golden years
Yeah.
somewhere.
Can you help me up?
That's a wrap.
Hey,
Just sit right there. I'll get you a coat. Where's your coat at?
I don't need a coat. I just wanted to see it.
Probably won't ever need one again at this rate. The way things are going. Be inside for a while.
These are no idle threats. If Karen had something to do with Douglas's death, she'll be facing years behind bars.
So where was he at when he was sitting in the car when you went to the bank?
He was in the passenger seat.
The front seat passenger? Jeez. And he was grabbing her arm, right? That's what you had said.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he had a grip on me. Yeah. And he was moving his arm.
According to both Karen and Lorene, Douglas must have died sometime after they went to the bank.
Well, why did you have to load him in the car, though? I'm so confused.
Because he was very weak. He was
Oh.
like skin and bone. I mean, very, very weak.
Oh.
Because we have a hard time making him to eat.
Was he like squeezing your arm because he's in pain, or?
No. I don't think so. I mean...
The officers can only laugh.
God, Karen, get your story right.
Oh, I don't have a story to get right.
Your story's all over the place, bro.
Story to get right.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my God.
You're not being truthful.
No, you're not.
Finally, they go inside to search the property.
Use the department if anyone else decides to help. Get yourself known.
Police! Asheville City Police! Man, this is some vintage carpet, Bungie. That's kind of weird, huh?
Yeah.
Is this like a whole nother living area? Monks.
Well, this could have been like a multi-family house.
I bet it was. Look at the leak in the roof, huh?
The house is messy and in a state of disrepair, but it's not obviously a murder scene.
I mean, there's nothing in here that spells out foul play, you know?
Yeah. Where's the bathroom?
There's in the basement, there's one. You need to take a piss?
No, I was looking for maybe pill vials. He was as sick as what? they say he should have killed my.
It's just not adding up at all.
They go back out to ask Karen.
Who was his doctor?
He didn't really have a doctor, but his family doctor was Dr. Lee.
Dr. Lee?
Dr. Lee over on
Route 20.
Route 20, yes.
And when was the last time he was there?
It's been a long time.
Did he have any
Stopped
medication?
going there. He didn't want to go. Anyway, this last year has really been hard
Some
on
people
him.
are hard heads.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to the hospital. He didn't want to go anywhere.
I didn't see any medications in there for him.
No, he didn't have any.
A sickly old man with stage 4 cancer, but with no medications. They get Karen to show them inside. She points out a mattress on the floor in the front room, but it's unclear who's been sleeping there.
I'm guessing that's where they got him off of.
No, it's upstairs. That's where Lori sleeps.
Oh, she sleeps.
You know, before, I've seen a few formularies, and, I'm not sure if what I was seeing were the same medication, but those are pretty expensive, you know. I mean, for me. I'm not speaking for other people, but for myself, they're pretty expensive for me.
It's not mattress. Lori's this.
Oh, Lori does.
You know, she's saying that he didn't have any medication. Anyway, let's finish it.
So then Karen must sleep there.
They also find sobriety literature.
Are you guys in recovery?
I was.
Yeah.
Was.
Years ago.
Is Lori in recovery, or is she still using?
I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely looks a lot better than the last time I saw her.
Yeah.
Lorene is known to the cops for previous drug offenses, but Karen isn't.
So he retired from the railroad, and what he inherited this house then?
Yes, I can show you the will.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
You don't have none of your stuff hanging on?
No, I didn't do it. I just didn't want to. He doesn't like change.
Oh.
Like, you know, he had tons of, when I first moved in, there was tons of oxygen tanks. You know, so he could breathe the oxygen. He got rid of them because it was cluttering his house. Yeah.
Military?
Yeah.
That explains it.
Though Karen's apparently lived there for 8 years, there's a strange lack of her personal touch on the house.
Has anybody notified his kids of his passing?
There's nobody I know to notify.
Oh.
I don't have any. No, nobody ever came over here.
Birthday handaan? Gawan ng Emoy San Graham's yan.
Douglas was a lonely, sick old man whose closest company was these women, according to them, and they left him in the ER to die alone. Meanwhile, another officer takes Lorene to the side, recognizing her for the weaker link.
Talk to me over here, Lori. All right. I don't want to take you on any warrants or anything. You have a felony warrant at our office. I don't want to take you on that. I'd rather just talk to you and figure something out. Okay?
Yeah.
What else can you tell me about this? Because it's weird. I'm not saying you did anything.
Okay, listen.
Did he use drugs?
No, he did not. He has been sick in his bed for a year.
Mm-hmm. What was wrong with him?
Well, he started out with laryngitis. Okay, good talk. And then he smoked a lot, chronic smoker. He couldn't breathe, and he refused to go to the doctors. Okay, refused to get any kind of help. All right, he ended up having a lump in his neck, and his body, he was skin and bones.
Yeah.
I mean, he was dying. It's obvious he had cancer. Okay, he chose himself.
No, this sounds like the truth, but I don't know.
To lay in his bed. He didn't want to go to the doctors or do anything. He wanted to die at home. Okay? I just recently started staying here because I didn't have nowhere else to go. I know she needed help.
According to Lorene, she was just doing the couple a good turn, and it was the same story today.
Got him down the stairs, like always. This is like a monthly thing. Okay, he goes to the bank, with Karen drives. They go to the bank, get the money out, okay, and they pay bills. It's been a monthly thing for years.
Out of his bank?
Yeah. And I helped him, you know, he walked down and got him in the car, driving, and like, you know, he thought he was sleeping. I'm in the back seat, you know, and then it was like, I looked over and it was like he wasn't moving or saying nothing, or just, you know, it was like,
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if it was before he got in. I don't know. I mean, he went in the car, got him in the car.
Was he still alive then?
He was breathing.
But he wasn't walking or nothing?
He was lightweight, like, you know.
But he wasn't with it?
Yeah.
So why would they take him to the bank if he couldn't move?
Well,
like
that was her thing. That was all her thing.
Because he probably had to be there to
He
get the
had
money
to be
out.
there, right. He had to be there, and they just go through the drive-thru.
There's a disturbing possibility emerging here that even if Douglas was already dead when they went through the bank drive-thru, Karen wouldn't have cared.
Your personal opinion, do you think he was dead when they could put him in the car? I mean, just be honest. You're not in any trouble. Because you didn't do it. They put him in the car. If you had to guess.
Maybe almost. Maybe almost. I can't say.
Lorene hedges her answer, but that's answer enough.
And I didn't want no part of it. I really did. I didn't, you know, I don't understand none of it. I don't understand none of it.
If Douglas was unresponsive, dead weight, then they would have needed help to get him into the car.
So who else helped put him in the car? The guy that was just here?
No.
You said her stepdaughter?
I think it was her boyfriend, or baby daddy, or whatever.
What's his name?
Justin.
Hamilton?
I don't think he's from around here. I think he's like from Cleveland. I don't know nothing about that situation. He was like, you know, slumped.
Yeah, just stay away from her for now, because she's gonna.
Well,
you're gonna try to save face in front of her. It's just not gonna. You are. Yeah, you're telling the truth.
Thanks to Lorene, the crime that took place here is beginning to take shape in the officers' minds.
No, she's like, he got carried in there by the other guy, by her daughter's boyfriend, which I'm still trying to get his name. All they said was Justin so far. I haven't talked to Karen again yet. I'm still talking to Lori, but she said he was completely unresponsive and they had to carry him into the car, but he had to be in the car to get money out of the bank, and I guess he's been bedridden for almost a year. I'm going to brief with, hey Chris, I'm going to brief with Chris here to see what she told him and see if the stories match up, because I'm sure she just lied to Chris. So he was dead. He was dead when they loaded him in the car from the house. They took him to the bank to order the bank.
So what should we arrest them?
Well, it's going to be theft for everything. And she's like, he had to be sitting in the car with her. They didn't get any money out of the bank.
I'm going to probably hook Karen right now for obstructing, because she's lying about everything.
So they confront Karen.
Did you get read your Miranda rights yet?
No.
Okay. We're going to do that.
You have the right to remain silent.
I'm going to jail.
Well, you're not necessarily going to jail. With those rights in mind, like I said, I'd start being straight about everything now. Because you're not really. And we're going to find everything out from whether he was alive when he left here, when he was alive at the bank, and whether he signed that check or deposit slip to withdraw the money, and whether or not he was actually robbed or not, or whether or not he was alive or deceased. So these are pretty kind of serious where we're at here.
They also want to know more about her possible co-conspirators.
Karen, what's your daughter's name that's related to Justin?
She's not really my daughter.
But what's her name?
Taylor Rosenbaum.
Say it's not your daughter. Who is she to you?
She's my best friend who died. Daughter. I mean, I used to change her diaper.
She's like kind of like a somewhat low-key adopted her.
This unknown Kayla and Justin might be involved.
He lives in Cleveland, but Kayla's got 2 kids by him. I don't even like him.
Like I said, I'll get your story straight next
I don't care for him. I don't know his last name.
It's your daughter's baby daddy.
Well, he's not like she's not my real daughter at all.
Is he a big heavy guy?
Yes.
That's Justin Ford. That's who.
Yeah, he's been in prison.
Is it Justin? Oh yeah, it's Justin Ford.
Yes, I guess so. I think so. Sounds familiar. I don't remember stuff very good.
I think you don't remember what you don't want to remember. I think you're pretty
No,
smart.
I really have a problem remembering. I've had it since I was young, real young.
With a criminal history of his own, he's apparently a dangerous man, and Karen makes her dislike of him plain. Maybe she's trying to scapegoat him, but she's still dodging the officer's questions. Meanwhile, her daughter just showed up on the scene.
Is your mom Karen then?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your first name?
Destiny.
Destiny? Okay. So you don't know Justin Forkling?
The officers are struggling to disentangle the relationships between Destiny, Justin, and Kayla, and it's vital they get to the bottom of it if others are involved in a crime.
Yeah, because right now this is a death investigation over her boyfriend.
Over my mom's boyfriend?
Yeah.
The 81-year-old? The guy that was like stage 4 cancer?
That was dead, and they put in the car to go withdraw his money out of the bank and then dumped him off at the hospital without telling anybody.
He was dead already? You said he died in the car? No. You're serious? Yeah. I'm gonna throw up?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Like, I literally just took her to the hospital to like...
Yeah, they dumped him at the hospital and didn't tell anybody, wouldn't tell anybody's name, wouldn't tell anybody their names. They got in the car and took off.
She was with somebody?
She was with Lori.
She didn't tell me that.
She was with Lori, and then this Justin guy helped load him into the car. That's kind of where we're at now. We're trying to figure out who this Justin guy is. We got the 2 detectives out now that are going to talk to your mom and Lori.
Does it seem like a real person? Like, are they just making him up?
No, they said he's a real person. They said it's the baby's dad of her daughter.
And what does he have to do with any of this?
He loaded him into the car.
Karen's daughter is horrified at the part she's been made to play in all this.
The amount of times she could just lie to my face is...
Well, she's been lying to our faces the whole time we've been here, so...
This is like another level. Like, this is fucking sick.
So then when they were done at the bank, they dropped him at the hospital, and she said she had to go pay some bills, so she just left.
Yeah, I questioned her that. I told her it was messed up that she left. Like, I didn't understand it. I tried to, like, be understanding. Like, I've never been in that situation where someone just dies. So I was like, I don't know, maybe she just really just wasn't thinking and didn't know what to do. And
yeah, she didn't even get out of the car.
I was just here, like, a few days ago. Checked on him, too, and asked him how he was doing, and said he was okay. I asked him if he needed anything. He said no.
All right, well, this detective's probably going to want to just talk to you briefly just because you drove her to the hospital just to confirm that.
When Destiny saw Douglas a few days earlier, he was alive, but he wasn't well, and Lorene has said similar.
Lori is slowly but surely...
she said that Karen wasn't taking good care of her.
Yeah, and basically today was the day they had to get the rest of the money out because it got paid on the 1st and they make it to the bank. But according to her, preliminarily, she said that she wouldn't let him upstairs the last couple of weeks to even see him. He was just laying in that bed.
Malnourished and sick, Douglas should have been receiving medical care. Fiercely independent, he refused it, but Karen could have insisted. Instead, she let him get weaker and weaker until he ended up in the car with them at the bank that day. But Lorene isn't the most reliable witness. They need to keep both her and Destiny isolated from Karen so they don't swap stories.
Did you take a seat in the back of your car for a few minutes? I don't know if you are, but I'm going to have you parked there because we got a lot of things going on. I don't need you wandering away because I got to talk to you a little more at the office.
Well, you have anything on you that you shouldn't have?
No.
And Lorene's problematic history with the cops has already presented an issue at the scene.
And why did the girl take off running from the car into the house?
Which girl was that?
I think this female.
Oh, Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's weird. Lori Farrell, druggie.
Well, I thought that maybe she was getting rid of some drugs or something. Did she say why she took off running into the house?
She didn't even see me. She was just tweaking.
The officers will need more definitive evidence than her word alone if they're going to charge Karen with anything.
Yeah, they're going to get the video from the bank to see what was going on inside the car, whether or not he was moving.
Like I said, that deposit's...
He wasn't moving.
Well, he's grabbing her arm.
He was sitting there. Yeah, he is.
And we're going to get that deposit slip back, and we're going to see whether it's his signature. It's a fraudulent one. It's not hard to do, because it gets sent out for forensics. It's really not hard to figure out. A child could figure out, let alone a forensic scientist.
Whatever theft or forgery she committed that day, the cops are going to find it out.
I'll stop talking to you now, and I would just think long and hard before you talk to this detective, because he's going to be the deciding factor on your fate, probably.
And Lorene, waiting in the officer's car, is terrified.
They're going to have you go up to the police station and talk to them further. I'm sorry?
But I'm not arrested.
You're not arrested?
Did you arrest Karen?
No, I don't believe so.
The officers make the decision to take both women in.
Okay, when we go into the police station, I just want you to be aware of the fact that if anything's found on you that's illegal, any drugs or anything like that, then you could be criminally charged. You have nothing like that on you. Do you have a lighter? No. Do you smoke?
Yeah.
Okay, but you have no lighter or anything like that? No. Nothing sharp, no needles, nothing. Okay, hang on one second. I just have to check the back seat. Have you been here before?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've gotten in this place.
Lorene is no stranger to the environment of the police station. The officer sits her down in the interview room to wait for a detective.
I will tell Lieutenant Plankus, okay?
Okay.
Just have a seat.
All right.
Meanwhile, another officer brings Karen to the station too.
You have your walker in there with you?
I do.
Okay.
Bring it out.
I'll grab it for you. Get this, and then we'll get you in here, and then I'll see if I can find you a wheelchair. I know we have one somewhere.
How long have you worked here?
I've been here about 4 years. So down here, we're gonna have
Okay, I'm just gonna finish this, then I'm going.
a female dispatcher come do a quick check on you, and then we'll stick you over in the pod where you can watch some TV and all that stuff.
In their interviews, both women stick to the stories they've been telling. Karen insists that Douglas was alive when they went to the bank, but Lorene admits that he was probably dead.
I think the bizarre part is that somebody that you allegedly loved or cared for 7 or 8 years, that you would think this would be acceptable, in the moments soon after he passed.
Karen and Lorene are booked on charges of gross abuse of a corpse and forgery for the fake check. The cops seek to charge Kayla and Justin too, but they're difficult to find, and there's insufficient evidence of their involvement, just Lorene's word. The evidence against Karen, however, stacks up. From jail, she calls a family member and confesses, telling them that Douglas died walking out the door in the afternoon of March 4th. She says, "I just figured I would go to the bank and then to the hospital and drop him off, like he was just an errand she had to run." The family member replies, "He died before you went to the bank, dude." And Karen says, "I know." But she didn't care. Like a real-life weekend at Bernie's, she and Lorene propped up Douglas's corpse to convince the bank tellers to release $900 in cash from his account. Apparently, the bank had been giving them his money without his verbal consent before, meaning they could have been taking advantage of him for months, even years. He was elderly, infirm, and needed help. But Karen cut him off from the outside world so she could steal his money. She even believed she'd inherit his property after his death. Douglas's stepson from a previous relationship is devastated.
I soaked him dry all the time. I've given him money for food. I've been over there to help.
He facially resembles.
And get his electric on. I've asked him multiple times if he wanted him out of his house, and he would not let no one do anything.
His cause of death has not been released, but the police do not believe there's evidence of foul play. Karen and Lorene simply took advantage, in their greed, of a tragic situation. Karen was sentenced to 17 months in prison, and Lorene to 15. According to online records, Karen died unexpectedly in October 2025 after her release from prison. It's unclear what Lorene is doing now. What do you think about this tragic story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder.
Alright, guys. So, listening to all of these scary stories, for me, most of them are just sad. Especially when, it's, I mean, there were some accidents like that, mother and child who were in the car who didn't get out. Yeah. Wala related to myself, you know. I already said earlier, I'm so full of spite, but I'm trying not to speak or act. Only but I do speak on it. Okay. Bye bye. Thanks for coming. Take care. Have a good day or night wherever you are.